Dr. Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. Yesterday or day before yesterday, I was tested positive for COVID. Unfortunately, that's why I'm not in Carbondale. I wanted to make the trip, but I have to be quarantined, so I'm hanging in there.
Well, that's good. That's good. Good. Well, it's still hitting people. Hopefully, it's not treating you too badly.
Not badly. I didn't really have a whole lot of symptoms. I had a runny nose, and that was about it. But I've been testing a lot just to make sure I don't get it. I've tested several times and always been negative.
Sure.
So the last time it comes up positive, I said, "Boy, timing couldn't be worse." So always something, Dr. Hightower.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Well, it's good to talk to you.
You too. Thanks for asking. Thank you so much.
Okay, you too now.
Good morning and welcome to the Illinois University Board of Trustees full board meeting. I will call the meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Clinton. Curtis.
Present.
Gilbert.
Present.
Hightower.
Present.
Sharma.
Present.
Simmons.
Present.
Tedrick.
Present.
Walters. Present. A quorum is established.
Okay, for the meeting, this morning's meeting, we're having kind of a hybrid format for today's meeting because it's prudent. We're still under the ongoing disaster proclamation for public health concerns from the governor. So we have two of our trustees that are appearing by Zoom, and the rest are present. Luke, I don't know if there's anything you wish to add about the, where are you, Luke? Oh, there you are. About the proclamation and our ability to do this hybrid board meeting.
Yes, similar. Good morning, everyone. Similar to the meetings that we've had for the last 2 years under the Open Meetings Act, when there's a declaration or a proclamation of disaster like we've got in place now, it allows for a different format than might otherwise be required for in-person meetings that we normally have.
Okay, thank you. And Dr. Hightower and Trustee Sharma, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. I would like first to welcome Chancellor James Minor to his first board meeting. I would also like to welcome President Mahoney and Chancellor Lane for their first board meeting in person. if you know, President Mahoney started his job on March 1st of 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, and his first act was to close the university there because of the pandemic. But anyway, this is the first time we've been in person, and I'd like to welcome them also. And also like to welcome Maddie Waters to her first board meeting in person. Seen you on Zoom, but glad you could join us here today. I would like now to move to the presentation of the Lyndall W. Sturgis Memorial Public Service Award. In 1979, the family of the late Lyndall W. Sturgis established an endowment to fund an award to recognize the contributions of an SIU Carbondale employee to his or her community, the area, state, or nation. Mr. Sturgis serves as a member of the Illinois Teachers College Board from 1941 to 1949, and then he served on the first SIU Board of Trustees after SIU attained university status in 1949, and was elected chair in 1969, and served in that role until his retirement from the board in 1971. The award carries a $1,000 cash prize, a plaque, and the recipient's name has been engraved and will be added to the Lyndall Sturgis Award perpetual plaque displayed in Anthony Hall. The recipient of this year's award, the recipients of this award distinguish themselves through their dedication to serve others, and the same is true of this year's recipient. We are pleased to honor Ms. Casey Parker, the 2022 Lyndall W. Sturgis Memorial Public Service Award recipient. Ms. Parker is coordinator for SIU Carbondale's Office of Equity and Compliance and a 3-degree SIU Carbondale alumna, including her law degree from SIU School of Law. When she's not working, she's volunteering. Her many volunteer efforts include more than 15 years with the Humane Society of Southern Illinois Board, where she is president. She is president of the Rotary Club of Jackson and Williamson Counties, Sunset, an active volunteer with the SIU School of Law, including as a moot court judge, and a faculty advisor to the Delta Zeta sorority on campus. Some of Ms. Parker's prior volunteer work includes the Carbondale Crime Stoppers Board, the court-appointed special advocates known as CASA of Williamson County. In addition, she is working to start a 100 Women Who Caregiving Circle in Jackson County through the Southern Illinois Community Foundation. 100 women get together 3 times a year, with each donating $100 per meeting. Local charities or local branches of the national charity will then make presentations, and the group decides which charity receives $10,000 per meeting. Ms. Parker's altruism goes back to when she was a child, volunteering with her grandparents. She says volunteering is, quote, part of the fabric of who I am, unquote. She goes on to say, quote, I want to be involved and I want to make my community better, especially for those who I feel are the most vulnerable. That's my motivation, end quote. Please join me in graduating the recipient of the 2022 Lyndall W. Sturgis Memorial Public Service Award, Ms. Casey Parker. Ms. Parker's accomplishments were celebrated at a breakfast here at the Student Center this morning. Ms. Pam Pfeiffer, the granddaughter of Lyndall Sturgis, and her husband Phil were also able to attend the breakfast. Now I would like for Casey, you to come and receive your award. Dr. Mahoney and Dr. Lane, will you join us here? Rusty, where are you? There you are for the photo. Next, I would like to present a certificate to student trustee Maddie Waters, the SIU Edwardsville, for her service on the board. As this is your last and final regular scheduled board meeting, Maddie, we thank you for your efforts on behalf of the students and wish you the best in the future. Can you come up here and join us for a photo? The SIU Carbondale trustee, Shaylee Clinton, could not be present with us today, and we will get her certificate to her later. The next item on the agenda is an update on the Institute for Rural Health. President Mahoney, will you introduce this item?
Yes, at our last board meeting, we had an update on the Office of Community Engagement. And as you know, back in July, we approved both the Office of Community Engagement and the Institute for Rural Health. And so we thought it was appropriate to also provide now an update on the Institute for Rural Health. So I'm pleased to introduce Jeff Franklin, who's the interim director of the Institute for Rural Health, to give an update on the progress they've made during the past several months.
Oh, yeah. Oh, second, before you do that, Jeff, I forgot to recognize the past Lyndall Sturgis Memorial Public Service recipients, and I think they're over here. I know there's a few of them there. Will you please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Okay, Jeff.
Good morning. Well, thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to be here today to talk a little bit about our Center for Rural Health and give you an update on the Institute for Rural Health.
Can you kind of speak up a little bit?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
two things that I'm really excited about and feel very passionate about. And talking about the center as well, it gives us an opportunity to recognize and celebrate an incredible team that's doing some incredible work. So here you can see some of the objectives of the center. But for us, it's really about equity and looking at what are those barriers that are preventing people to get to equity, and what does the infrastructure look like? What can we do? How can we work with a community and help them address some of those needs that are identified and move forward and improve health outcomes and delivery. So the Center for Rural Health, we are an IBHE accredited center. We're under the School of Medicine and under external relations. So we are growing. The center has been growing tremendously. I joined in 2010 and we look nothing like we did at that point. You can see here we have our staff listed and we're still adding staff. We have so much work, and I mean, it's fantastic that the state and other agencies think about SIU and think about the center when they need assistance working on something. And you'll see that we have students. You know, I'm an educator by heart, so students are really important. So we always have graduate students that are there, they're involved, and they're working. And it's my goal that when they leave their time at the center, that we've given them roots and wings, is what we always tell them. So when I talk about growth, not just in programming, but in our footprint. So, you know, at one time we were just here on Carbondale campus, but now we have regional offices in Canton and in Olney, and our newest office is in Dixon, and that's quite a haul. And I was teasing Dr. Cruz, did I need a passport to go to Dixon? Because it was quite a drive, but it's going to be exciting. So now a lot of what we do is statewide, but now we're going to really be covering I-80 South. And so that's just fantastic for us. So In our IBHE report for FY21, this is us at a glance, so it was COVID time and everything was just so different, and we were functioning differently and remote, and I think we even surprised ourselves at what we were able to accomplish. So, thinking about, okay, what do we think we can generate externally, funding, and we thought, okay, maybe 500,000. And so, but we were at 2.5 million for FY21, a little over 3 million for 22, and we're set to be about 3 million for 23 as well. And what we know in rural areas, so you see a lot about community collaborations. Nothing gets done in rural if we're not focused on building those relationships and building trust, and then being able to leverage those resources and partnerships. Partnerships and the relationships take time, but spending that time building those relationships is really important. And it's something our team does really well. So getting to equity, that is really what I think our ultimate goal is. What do our communities need? There is such need and such disparity in rural areas, and so there's so much to do. So I'm going to run through a couple, just list up our projects. I want to highlight a couple, but at any time I'm happy to have more conversation, and discuss any of these further. We have recently become a rural leadership center for the state around opioid use disorders. So that's really exciting for us. We do a lot of work with workforce, pipeline, career. I spent many years in elementary school classroom. So our Delta States grant, which we've held since 2002, is dealing with disparities in the Mississippi Delta. So for us, that's 16 counties. So we have a school-based program, and really looking at creating cultures of wellness in schools and policy. And with that one, before I became the director of the center, I was the director of the Delta. And HRSA, or the Federal Office of Rural Health, always said that SIU was the best steward of the money, and we had the most regional impact. So, that's always good to hear. Farm Family Resource Initiative, I'll talk about that in just a second. So, thanks to the work of Senator Scott Bennett and Department of Ag Director Jerry Costello, we were approached to create a farm family network, if you will, to help farm families deal with some of the mental health issues that they might be having. Our first year was just a pilot in 6 counties mid-state. The second year, they doubled our money and asked us to go statewide. So we have a 24/7 hotline that farm families can call, text, email. We'll get them help. We're able to provide counseling sessions through psychiatry. But we're also working with the families that if we're talking about building capacity, helping families recognize when somebody might be in crisis and when we can get them help. This is just a tremendous program and having such impact statewide. So there's a lot of work done around providers that are doing medically assisted recovery for opioid use disorders. We're working to add a mobile component to that. So when we look at community health needs assessments that are done, what communities are saying is they want to see more localized delivery of services and resources, like at the neighborhood level. So if we take a provider or work with a provider who's providing this medically assisted recovery, and we equip a mobile unit with a telehealth platform, and we can go into the communities and work with them to provide this needed recovery assistance. And that's, it's localizing that delivery. It's getting us to equity. And this one I'm really excited about because I think it has implications for the Institute as well. I feel like we're cutting our teeth on this one. So we have created a certification and apprenticeship program for certified recovery support specialists. This is someone who has lived experience and that can be a part of a care team. And the certification side of, they can go through, they can see both sides. So they have the lived experience, but then they can see the other side, the hospital side, if you will. So we will start this program in the fall. And I mean, it's been a real learning experience. There's been a lot that goes into this, creating the certification program. But I know that that's a direction that I would like to see the Institute go, that we're creating more educational opportunities, that we have more certification programs, that maybe someone isn't necessarily looking for a degree, but we can still see the community in our workforce and, maybe doing that through some certification programs. So the Institute, having watched and been a part of the growth of the center and having the opportunity to help shape the Institute, looking at the center, we've learned a lot, and I think we're going to see great things come out of the Institute. And you can see some of the goals, they're similar. They're around capacity. Are we going to address equity? Are we going to build capacity of communities? Can we transfer that capacity to the community so then it becomes something sustainable? And then, we're addressing disparities. And we're doing this all through like a policy systems and environmental change lens and the DEI lens as well. So right now, in the process of getting all the paperwork finished for, submitting for temporary status, just about have the advisory boards, internal and external, fully formed. I'd like to meet in the summer with them, and really looking, and when we meet, I want to be able to take something to them. And so, hospital systems do community health needs assessments, and I've had some grad students looking at the community health needs assessments all around the state. What are we seeing as some of the trends? Now, I've been a part of a lot of those needs assessments and a lot of that process, but I want to look at what are we seeing as priorities, what are we looking at as trends, can we do some future forecasting, and then where can we come in as an institute or as a system and help address some of those things that we're seeing. And I've said yes to so many things lately, but really getting out there and building those relationships. And two things have come from that. The relationship side of thing is really that rural cultural competence. So looking at external funding, I did apply under the center for one. It was a workforce grant that we did with SIH and SI Now, and it was not funded, but we'll keep trying. I'm so excited that we did get $10 million in capital funds, so that's exciting to hear, but not the operational side. But we have applied for 1.8 million in operational funds, and which will do a lot to move us forward, because right now any operational expenses for the Office of Community Engagement, because Stacy Grundy is also a center staff person, I cover out of the center. So it'll be nice to have some additional funds, but the work is so similar. So two things that have popped up that, sometimes when low hanging fruit just is there, you need to just run with it. So Lisa Wingert, who's our person that works in our office in Alney, has been working with the court system for a long time. This is her area. She does drug endangered children training. She's on a national advisory board for that. She's been working with the mental health task force and doing some strategic planning workshops. So the relationships that she's built over the last few years with the new Pretrial Services Act, they approached her and said, hey, we could probably use some help with this when we look at the workforce needs and service needs in rural areas. So we took that. I've had conversations with faculty on both campuses, and I think we're going to be able to move forward and and look, maybe it's a certification program, maybe it's professional development. I'm not sure what all it's going to look like, but that's something that just came up. So through the relationships. So this next one, it's an idea that I've had, that I had lots of conversations with school administrators and with SIH, really about pipeline, career exploration. So I'm on a advisory board for the Federal Office of Rural Health Policy, and we help shape the technical assistance that's provided to HRSA grantees. My counterpart in Arkansas was sharing a website that she has, that if someone is interested in a particular career, in high school age or just in the community, they click on it, and it's someone local in that community that tells all about that career. So I've had conversations with faculty on both campuses again to what could that look like for us? What would the SIU piece look like when it comes in? So if you're interested in this and this particular field, but maybe it's too overwhelming to get more information on the education side of things, that we can come in and have something that's there as well. So our marketing department, which is just fantastic, like a lot of us, capacity, a lot to do, not enough time, not enough people. So to get this up and running, and this is something that SIH is really involved in, SI now wants to be involved in, school administrators love the idea of what this could look like. So out of the center, I'm going to fund some graduate students from WSIU, and they're going to do the video production and help move this forward. But it's something that has been a desire or a need for a long time from a lot of our partners, and it just now seemed like the right time to move forward with that. I'm excited about what the Institute's going to look like in 4 to 5 years when we think about the growth. And I think we're going to see all of these impacts. And I think we're going to see improvements in health and the delivery. I think recruitment and retention issues, that we're bringing forward, some educational opportunities, but then also being in the community, right? And trying to keep people local and rural, and that you can have a satisfying, successful career here. So that's very quickly the center and the Institute.
Anybody have any questions of Jess? I can't think of a more exciting initiative that this university system has been involved in than this Institute for Rural Health, which is still in its infancy and still growing. But the benefit not only for our students who are going to participate in it, but more importantly for the population it's going to be serving, providing access to not only the physical but the mental health of underserved areas in this state. It's just and this institute could be a model that goes nationwide that other universities pick up and follow. But this is just a really exciting time for this university to be involved in this project. I don't know, President Mahoney, if you want to add anything. I know Trustee Tedrick, you've been very involved in pushing this. If there's anything anybody wants to say or questions of Jeff. Yes, Trustee.
Jeff, very impressive, and I'm 100% supportive of this Institute for Rural Health. You talked a lot about the farm family program, substance abuse, but you spent a lot of time on pipeline. And I understand you're an educator, and I understand that's what our university does, but I just caution you to make sure that a major focus of our effort is on improving health and rural health. And so is that really where you're going, or is it going to have a lot more focus on pipeline? Everybody needs workforce, and everybody's working on pipeline in all of these communities, but that's a small component in my mind. It's really about how do we connect the social determinants of health work with these communities that have developed community needs assessment, and more importantly, their implementation plans, and making sure, and I saw you had one line in there about connecting to the social determinants of health, but if people don't have food sustainability and permanency of housing and a job, it's hard for us in medicine to make an impact on improving their health, and there's so much need in central and southern Illinois. So I commend you. I love what you're doing, but really a lot more focus on that part of it.
And we do work a lot with the social determinants. I mean, that is really looking at what are those barriers to improved health, healthcare delivery, equity, that are there because of social determinants of health. And we're part of the process, we're part of the implementation plans all around the state. And it's nice to see that even for us locally here, that we're starting to look at this, at social determinants of health as an identified health priority in itself, which is really exciting to see.
A lot of times people in rural communities are afraid to reach out to the big buildings, the big systems. They don't feel worthy, and so we got to get to them, and I think another area of focus.
Yeah, and what we can do to, and we do it through farm family, we do it through school health as well, when we think about improving the whole child or the whole community, whole school, that mental health is just as important. But stigma seems to be intensified in rural areas. So anything that we can do to help open the conversation and address stigma, I think that's going to take us a long way to helping people get to some mental health resources.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jeff, appreciate your presentation today, and just a quick statement that this board is very much behind you. We know it's important, and it can be something that our system can be proud of, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we will close the meeting to go into executive session. I move to close the meeting to the public for the purpose of considering pending, probable, or imminent court proceedings against or on behalf of the board, appointment, employment and compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, and review of executive session minutes. The relevant sections of the Open Meetings Act statute that allow for closed sessions. The closed session are 5 ILCS 120/2 (1), 11, and 21. Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Ms. Whittington, please call the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedrick, and Walters. Yes.
Okay. We are going to move into ballroom A for the closed session, and then hopefully we'll be back here in hopefully a half hour, 45 minutes. Continuation of the board meeting. No pressure there.
recording now. Let's see, profile. I should probably change my image too. My image is a picture of my beehives. Do you think I should get rid of that? Is that too? I think it's fine. Okay, cool.
All right, so I feel, so I'm gonna start. Are you gonna still be coming in? Yours is on mute, right?
I have everything.
There you go. Thanks. Oh, by the way.
Okay, the full board is back in open session, and we will now recess and reconvene at the conclusion of the board's committee meetings. The first committee meeting today is the Academic Matters Committee. Dr. Hightower, are you here? Around?
I am here.
Okay. Will you proceed?
Thank you, sir. The meeting of the Academic Matters Committee is now in session. Announcements, Vice President Gupta.
Thank you, Dr. Hightower. As I've mentioned in the past, we're proud of the efforts of all our faculty, staff, and students in the SIU system. Today, I would like to highlight the efforts of Christy McIntyre from SIUC and Natasha Flowers from SIUE. They are leading the efforts of the SIU system in the Illinois Tutoring Initiative, being spearheaded by the Illinois Board of Higher Education and the Illinois State Board of Education. This initiative will work with 8 school districts initially and 15 districts by the end of next fiscal year. This initiative is designed so that participating school districts will identify students in need, the areas in which they need tutoring in literacy or mathematics, and the format, either individual or small group. Eligible students whose education has suffered during the COVID pandemic will participate primarily in face-to-face tutoring sessions for at least 3 hours per week over a period of 8 weeks to the entire semester. At a later date, we will request Drs. McIntyre and Flowers to present to the Board of Trustees. Drs. McIntyre and Flowers also serve as the SIU representatives on the IBHE Early Childhood Access Consortium for Equity. The main aim of the consortium is to streamline, coordinate, and improve accessibility of degree completion pathways for incumbent early childhood workforce employers. What they are doing here is at the core of equity and future prosperity. For as Confucius said, if you want to plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you want to plan for 10 years, plant trees. But if you want to plan for 100 years, educate children. So I'm very pleased to tell you what they're doing. Those are my announcements, Chair Hightower.
Thank you, Vice President. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for the meeting held on February 10th, 2022?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call.
Hightower,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Walters. Yes.
Motion passes. The next item is the approval of the reorganization of reporting lines for the SIU School of Dental Medicine. Vice President Gopchak, would you speak on this item?
Thank you, Dr. Hightower. This matter requests approval for the Board of Trustees to amend its legislation, namely various components of the bylaws, policies, and statutes of the board in order to change the reporting line for the Dean of the School of Dental Medicine at SIU Edwardsville. In December 2015, the SIU Board of Trustees approved reporting line changes for the Dean of the School of Dental Medicine and the School of Pharmacy at SIU Edwardsville. The deans were moved from being a direct report of the provost to the chancellor. SIUE is requesting to return the reporting line of the SIU Edwardsville Dean of School of Medicine to the provost of the Edwardsville campus. A similar move has already been completed for the SIUE School of Pharmacy. This move will align the School of Dental Medicine with other SIUE academic units. This request is made in consultation with the Chancellor of SIUE.
Are there questions or comments from our committee?
No.
Is there a motion?
Dr. Hightower would like to say I was on the board when these changes were made at the recommendation of the previous president, and we got in trouble, especially with the medical school reporting line. And I know the previous Vice President, Dr. Howard, screamed and yelled at the board for not doing it, saying we shouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we didn't follow his advice. He wasn't a vice president then. But this is something that the previous board should not have done. And I'm glad to see it going back the way it was before. Definitely needed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for that additional information. Is there a motion to approve committee item 3?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call.
Hightower,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
Walters. Yes.
The motion passes. The next item is the presentation, Saluki Student Investment Fund Overview. Dr. Gopchak.
Thank you, Chair Hightower. It is my pleasure today to introduce Dr. Tim Marlowe, who is a clinical associate professor in the Department of Finance and faculty advisor for the Saluki Student Investment Fund, SSIF. The SSIF is a student-led investment fund, and they manage millions of real monies for the SIU Foundation. Dr. Marlowe is a former member, one of the first, of the SSIF from 2000 to 2001, and he understands the value this program has for providing students hands-on experience in investing and managing portfolios. His training, work experience, and past membership with SSIF make him a perfect fit to lead current and future students in continuing the improvement and valuable mission of the Saluki Student Investment Fund. Dr. Marlowe is a 4-degree summa cum laude graduate of SIUC. He received his bachelor's degrees in accounting and finance in 2001, an MBA in 2009, and a doctorate in business administration specializing in finance in 2016. He has published and presented his research on investments, in particular on mutual funds, and he continually explores actively managed mutual fund holdings and performance to better understand fund manager skills. Joining Dr. Marlowe are students Catherine Hell, Rafael Munoz, Jackie Tremel, and Adrian Verselli. Dr. Marlowe and students, thank you for joining us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much for those nice comments. I just wanted to thank the Board of Trustees for allowing us to present. We do have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm assuming is going to be pulled up here shortly. I did want to also really thank the SIU Foundation for allowing our students this opportunity to manage this money. What you're about ready to hear about is the Saluki Student Investment Fund. The SIU Foundation has entrusted us with $3.5 million to manage. Not only have the students been good stewards with this money, we have outperformed 90% of paid professionals that do the same thing in the exact same category. What we do over at SIU is truly amazing. We've been doing this, as you mentioned, we've been doing this since the year 2000, and I was part of that inaugural year, but our long-term performance is truly exceptional. But on top of getting real money, we also have real experience. Every single day, I get calls from employers wanting these students. They're targeted for great jobs all throughout the US and even the world. So once the PowerPoint presentation comes on, we're ready to go over here. So thank you again for this opportunity. I think we should. See it there. Okay.
What would we do without IT?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you very much.
I needed to print a text. My phone today, I had to go into yeah, and say, how do I do this? She thought I was stupid. And it was pretty easy once she showed me.
Thank you so much.
All right, hello everyone. We are the Saluki Student Investment Fund, and we just want to say thank you for allowing us the time to come and present some of our work. My name is Kate Held. I'm from Springfield, Illinois. If you really like Abraham Lincoln, that's your spot to go to. I'm a junior that will graduate in May 2023. I have a few different minors. I'm studying finance and pre-law, and this summer I will be interning at Asset Consulting Group. I'm super excited about that. I got that opportunity through Dr. Marlowe and through the fund. And then when I'm not speeding around campus in my crutches, I really like to explore Southern Illinois, especially the outdoorsy spots. So there I am at the Kincaid Spillway. All right, so the mission of the Saluki Student Investment Fund is to get students real life experience. We have undergraduate and graduate students. This is a student-driven fund. All of the investment decisions are made by us. There's approximately 45 to 50 students, and it's open to any major. We are very business prominent, but lately we've really expanded to computer science and math, and so they've brought a new perspective that's been really awesome. And then we're organized into various sector teams. Each sector has one sector leader. And then, should I turn the audio? Can they still hear me? Anyway, our client is the SIU Foundation. We currently manage $3.5 million. Our eligible universe is the S&P 400. And as said before, we were started in March 2000. I got stuck. I'm not a technology genius. Okay, luckily I came prepared so I can talk on the next slide. So the SSIF believes that markets are generally efficient, and so this means that stocks can temporarily become mispriced, and that's where we really want to capitalize and make that difference. And so we do that through fundamental active strategy, which will be touched on later. As I said before, our eligible universe is the mid-cap stocks in the S&P 400, and so these stocks have typically less research on them, so that means as students we really have to go above and beyond and do that extra research. And the reason we're specifically mid-cap is because the foundation already has, they're already managing others in like the S&P 500, which is typically those big stocks like Walmart and Amazon. And so this is just our eligible universe that we really pay attention to. And then one of the reasons that we have so much success is because we have that unbiased student perspective. Next slide. Okay, so the biggest goal of the fund is to generate alpha, which is the excess return of the market. And the way we kind of do this is we're very risk averse. When we take risk, we have done the research and we know that it's going to have a higher return. And we want to repeat the success. So as I mentioned before, we have sector leaders. They're typically older students, and they're just going to pass down their wisdom to new students so that we can repeat and keep making awesome Salukis. So now I'm going to pass it over to Adrian.
Thank you, Kate. My name is Adrian Vesely. I'm originally from Oswego, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, about 45 minutes west. I came to SIU in 2017. I actually came as a math major, but after joining SSIF and falling in love with the work that we do, I switched to finance, and last May I graduated with a bachelor's degree, and now I'm currently getting my MBA here. But just to talk a little bit more about our investment process, our goal in the SSIF is to use fundamental analysis to find stocks that are undervalued and add those to our portfolio. And our process has two parts: company research and security analysis. Company research is the more qualitative aspect of our work. So some things we'll do for that are examining sector trends or industry trends. We'll look at company management, listening to earnings calls, stuff like that. Then security analysis is the more quantitative aspect of our work. So with that, we'll be analyzing companies' financial statements, looking at their competitors and their peers, and then also building Excel valuation models that allow us to forecast growth, as well as give intrinsic target prices on companies. In terms of our portfolio construction, as Kate previously mentioned, our eligible universe is the S&P 400 mid-cap stocks. As a risk-averse fund, we don't take any sector bets, meaning we don't put more allocation to specific sectors thinking that they're going to outperform other ones. And the way we do this is by remaining within 2% of the S&P 400, our benchmark, those sector weights. Other diversification objectives we have is we like to keep a target portfolio of around 40 names, give or take a couple. And out of those holdings, we do not let any holding have more than 3.5% of our portfolio, and at the same time, it can't be less than 1. We also have a portfolio team of which I and Raphael here behind me are a part of, and our job on the portfolio team is to meet every week, rebalance the portfolio, and just make sure that all these constraints are being met. This is just a visual of all of our holdings as of March 31st. As you can see, they're divided into the various sectors of the S&P 400. As of right now, out of the 400 companies in our benchmark, we currently hold 38. These are just some more additional characteristics of our portfolio. Like I just said, 38 out of the 400 possible companies. The key takeaway from this slide is our average beta and the dividend yield. Our average beta is lower than that of our benchmark, which basically means it's really good for a risk-averse fund because we are less affected by market risk and systematic volatility. And then we also have a higher dividend yield of our benchmark, which is just always good to see. And then this final graph that I'm going to talk about just kind of re-hits on being sector neutral and risk averse. It shows us how our sector weights compare to those of the benchmark. Like I previously said, we have to remain within plus or minus 2% of that of the benchmark. The blue lines are our portfolio and the yellow lines are the benchmark. I'm now going to pass it off to my good friend Raphael, who's going to tell us about performance.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rafael Munoz. I'm from Valencia, Venezuela, and I'm currently doing my MBA studies. I graduated from SIU in December 2020 with a bachelor's degree in finance. And the reason why I came to SIU is because back in Venezuela, one of my best friends. His mom graduated from SIU in the 80s. And when I was looking for a university here in the US to do my studies, I got into contact with him, and he showed me campus, he showed me the business department. I applied, I got accepted, and it's been a great opportunity, a great experience since then. I wouldn't change it for anything. At SSIF, I'm the portfolio manager, and my duty is try to optimize our portfolio every 2 weeks to try to make it perform as efficient as possible compared with the benchmark, which is the S&P 400. And as you can see here, we actually been doing that really well, since all of our numbers are positive, excluding the quarter, and this is since inception years. Now, the way we optimize a portfolio is by using 2 different ratios, which is the tracking error and information ratio. All these ratios do is that it helps us track the movement of the S&P 400, and then eventually it helps us perform a little better. And continuing with what Adrian was talking about, we take risk very seriously at SSIF, and that's why one of our most important policies is that we must maintain sectoral allocation neutrality. All this means is that we do not overinvest in one singular sector, and the way we manage to take away the risk of these sectors underperforming and losing more money. Where we do take the risk is our stock selection. For example, in information technology, the companies that we hold right now in our portfolio are overperforming 2.16% better than the information technology sector in the entire S&P 400. Now I wanted to talk about our top 10 best performing stocks and top 10 worst performing stocks of the last years. First, I wanted to talk about Synaptics. That's the number 3rd best performing stock in the chart. And it's a company that we bought back in 2016. And it's a company that has been performing really well since we bought it. And I think it's a really good example of the type of holdings that we like to have in our portfolio, since we know it's going to keep bringing value to our portfolio year after year after year. On the other hand, we have our top 10 worst performing stocks. And this doesn't mean that they're bad stocks. It just means that they're just having a tough year. However, I am not worried about them, since we have many analysts and many students doing research on these companies and competitors in the industry to make sure these companies will bring value to our portfolio sooner than later. And with that in mind, I will pass it to Jackie.
Oh, look at that same outfit. So a little bit about me. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I graduated from Lane Tech with a graduating class of about 1,200. So this was a little bit of a change. But I toured here with my dad in 2019. We ended up really liking the campus, and the university was really generous for their scholarships. I'm graduating this December. I'm a senior in finance. Started off as a management major, accounting, made my way around to finance. I'm a healthcare sector leader, and this summer I'm actually interning with Caterpillar in their global finances division. So our main goal, just to sum up, is to outperform the index that we follow, which is the S&P 400, and we do this using fundamental analysis to hold the 38 best stocks in the S&P 400. To do this, we take on low risk by holding more names, mimicking weights by sector, and not having one name take up a large portion of our portfolio. We really think that our investment philosophy, getting passed down from generation to generation, is what is keeping us going and having those high numbers. We're meeting on a weekly basis as an entire general fund, and then each sector is meeting separately throughout the week. My team is currently putting together a buy-sell, which we'll be doing in a couple of weeks, and we're meeting roughly about 5 hours a week. So as far as what we've done the past 2 semesters, we've met at Touch of Nature with the whole fund for some team bonding activities, and we actually had a challenge between Dr. Marlowe and the fund, and we won, so he took us to the Cardinals game. As far as challenges, we've done the SSIF challenge, which each sector was building a valuation model, and the best model would win. And then the COPA challenge, where 2 teams have a week to put together a buy-sell presentation for a certain sector. And then we've just been able to do presentations such as this. We presented to our client, the foundation, Chancellor Lane, and just a lot of new student recruitment events.
And with that, we want to say thank you. And if you have any questions, we're happy to answer.
Thank you. Questions or comments from any of our trustees?
Yeah.
Tim, break down the different colleges or majors of your students in this group, because I know a lot, like they said, a lot of them are in finance, but I know in the past there's been some really ones you scratch your head.
We have no restrictions on which college you're in. We want every single college to be a part of it if they want to. In fact, we have a history major right now. We've had aviation majors, healthcare management majors. We get a broad array of majors that are students just that are really interested in this stock process and investing. So right now we have, besides the history and we have some math and computer science. I think most everyone else is business right now, but we don't have that restriction by any means. We just look for curiosity when we try to get students. So,
thank you.
I have a comment.
okay.
Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry.
Yes, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Tim, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. Our investment is in very good hands.
Thank you, Dr. Sharma. I appreciate that.
So glad to see you are doing this.
Thank you.
Well, just to let everybody know, Tim took 3 PhD level classes with me when he was doing his PhD, and I served on his dissertation committee, so we go a long back.
That is true. And also, for the record, I would have a 4.0 if it wasn't for Dr. Sharma.
I know that. I know that. Economics classes are hard.
I deserved a lot
for
worse than what he gave me, so I do appreciate that. A fantastic instructor. I learned so much in econometrics.
How many in your club or group or?
We have, right now we have 47. We try to be between 40 to 50 is where we try to be at. We found too many is not a good thing, and too few is not a good thing either. So that sweet spot's around 40 to 50 around there. So it gives enough, every single student has enough responsibility to manage at least a stock. So
how often do you meet and how many committees are there?
So it's broken down into teams. So whenever they're talking about sector neutrality, what they're talking about is the way that we tried beating our benchmark for the foundation is they gave us a task to beat the S&P 400. It's not really as well known as the S&P 500, which has like stocks like Amazon and all those. But the way that we decided to beat it is we're going to beat them with their own players. So basically what we do is we look at the different sectors within the S&P 400, like communications and information technology, and that's how we form teams. So for example, Raphael and Adrian, they have been a part of the industrials team before they moved over to portfolio. Kate and Jackie are leaders on their particular sectors. We have energy and utilities and healthcare. They meet on their own. Their teams meet on their own weekly, and then every single Monday we have a weekly meeting where we kind of all gather and do other presentations and discuss other things that are happening with the fund. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Again, Dr. Marlowe and your students, thank you so much for a wonderful, outstanding presentation. Congratulations and best of luck. Moving on, item 5, Distinguished Student Service Awards. Dr. Gupchuk.
Thank you, Chair Hightower. Whenever our students present, it gives me goosebumps. We just have the best students. Our future is in good hands. So continuing with the great students we have, I would like to request Diana McGrean, co-chair of the Student Advisory Committee for the SIU System, to present the SIU System Distinguished Service Awards for our students. Diana?
All right, I'm going to turn up this mic a little bit. Good morning to the members of our board and to the members of our Academic Matters Committee. My name is Diana McGrean, and I am the chair of the SIU System Student Advisory Committee, as well as the president of the SIUC Graduate and Professional Student Council. Today, the SIU System and the SIU System Student Advisory Committee, also known as the SSAC, is honoring 8 outstanding students with the 2022 SIU Student Distinguished Service Award. The SSAC received applications from all the campuses throughout the SIU system and selected one undergraduate student and one graduate student from both the SIU Edwardsville and SIU Carbondale campuses. In addition, the SSAC also selected one student from each of the following schools: the School of Medicine, the School of Dental Medicine, the School of Law, and the School of Pharmacy. The members of the selection committee consisted of myself, Isaac Leddington from SIUC, and Maddie McKenzie from SIUE. Today, we are proud to honor the following recipients as winners of the 2022 SIU Student Distinguished Service Award, and thank them for their exemplary commitment to service, which has deeply impacted the lives of their fellow students, their campuses, and their communities. First, I'm very pleased, and I see that they are attending us via Zoom. I'm very pleased to recognize Haley Odell. Haley is an undergraduate student studying psychology at SIU Edwardsville. Haley currently serves as the student body president and was recently elected to serve as the SIU student trustee for the 2022-2023 academic year. In her role as the student body president, she serves on a multitude of campus-wide committees and serves as an advocate for all students on the Edwardsville campus. This year, she helped to change the dress code policy at the SIUE Fitness Center to be more inclusive. However, she notes her greatest accomplishment was changing SIU's policy on summer employment for students. Students can now access on-campus work opportunities even if they are not enrolled in summer courses. Immediate messages of gratitude flooded Haley's inbox when they changed this policy and it was enacted by the university. Congratulations, Haley. Next, we have Emily Love. Emily Love is a master's student in sociology at SIU Edwardsville, and Emily is a graduate research assistant for the Advanced Time team at SIUE. In this role, she helps to create workshops, speaker events, and policy changes regarding the diversity, inclusion, and equity issues for faculty on the Edwardsville campus. In addition, she has helped to develop equity scorecards and toolkits to help train departments on mindful practices used throughout the hiring of new faculty. Emily's commitment to DEI work also extends into cross-institution collaborative work, such as building the Advocates and Allies program for SIUE. Emily has launched a series of interactive theater workshops to help demonstrate the faculty experience in a creative way. Congratulations, Emily. Next, we actually do have with us Tristan Workman. So Tristan, will you gladly step to the corner of our room here? I want to make sure he has a great opportunity to pose with his plaque, receive his $100 check, which is going to be given to all of our recipients, and also get a nice photo done by Rusty. Thank you. So Tristan Workman is a December graduate from SIU Carbondale. He was an undergraduate student and worked for the Small Business Development Center, also known as the SBDC. Oh, Mom, where's Mom at? Where did Mom go? Mom, did you want to take a picture? Yeah, make sure you get it. Make sure you get there, Mom. Make sure to get there, Mom. You gotta get that good picture with a personal phone. Let's make sure we got Mom in there. All right. There we go. There we go. Now Mom, you want to get in that photo? There we go. We got to thank the parents that come out to support. But anyways, Tristan has worked for the Small Business Development Center, also known as the SBDC, and the Office of Innovation and Economic Development to serve as a consultant to 50 local businesses across Southern Illinois. Hold on. One more person. I'm gonna repeat this. We gotta make this special. We gotta make sure this is special. All right. You good? Everybody's all right, keep on shooting. I'm gonna keep on talking because we only get 10 minutes here. All right. So he has worked for the Office of Innovation and Economic Development to serve as a consultant for 50 local businesses across Southern Illinois. In addition, he has served as the president of the Saluki Entrepreneur Corps. He personally helped to create SIU's first ever virtual pitch competition in the fall of 2020, which allowed SIU students to pitch their innovative ideas for the opportunity to win seed money to help fund and advance their vision. He also helped to grow and the co-working space program at the Dunn-Richmond Economic Development Center. One of his nominators noted how Tristan's commitment to serving regional small businesses quite literally helped these businesses survive and grow despite the challenges they faced in the midst of COVID-19. So congratulations, Tristan. You're probably one of the few that we could actually talk to. Next, we have Anna Wilcoxon, who is joining us virtually. Anna is a PhD candidate in the School of Communication Studies at SIU Carbondale. Anna served as the Graduate Assistants United President from 2019 to 2021, as well as served in other executive roles such as the Grievance Officer and Treasurer and Secretary. While serving as the President of the Graduate Student Union at SIUC, Anna had led the negotiations, was the lead negotiator for the 2021 Impact Bargaining Team, which negotiated contract amendments for graduate assistants due to COVID-19. Anna has had an impactful voice on the working conditions of graduate students on the campus of SIUC. Anna also had tremendous impact on their department by serving as the editor of the 101 CMST introductory course workbook that is used by hundreds of students. In addition, Anna has served on community projects like Carbondale Spring and You All Rock Carbondale. Congratulations, Anna. Next, we also have joining with us virtually is Bara Madden. Bara is a fourth-year medical student at the SI School of Medicine. I think I might have had your pronouns wrong. So they are highly involved in the P4 program, which is a high school pipeline program in Springfield, Illinois. Throughout COVID-19, she was heavily active in promoting vaccination awareness at numerous agencies and local churches. She collaborated with the NAACP to organize medical student volunteers to help run free immunization clinics in order to help local students return to school. She is the president of the local SNMA chapter, which helps to promote medicine in underrepresented communities. During the pandemic, she worked with the city of Springfield to use CARES Act resources to partner with local Black-owned businesses and restaurants to serve hot meals weekly to underserved areas in the community. In addition, she served as the chair for Addressing Systemic Racism Committee as a medical student section of the Illinois Medical Society. Congratulations, Bara. Next, we have Morgan Wiggins.
Could I add one comment?
Yes, please, thank you.
Dr. Madden, when she graduates on May 21st, is going to Duke University for a residency program.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations, Dr. Madden. Congratulations. Thank you so much for joining us as well virtually. I almost wish I gave people time to talk, but we are very limited on time, so I was told to speed it up. Morgan Wiggins is a third-year law student at the SIU School of Law. Morgan has dedicated herself to an array of services in support of her local community. She is currently a volunteer at the Department of Public Advocacy in the Paducah Trial Office. Over the past 2 years, she has served as a volunteer for the Lotus Children Advocacy and Sexual Assault Center and at the SIU Domestic Violence Clinic. She has volunteered internationally in El Salvador with the Starfish Orphan Ministries to help feed the homeless and build homes. She also traveled to Belize and the Philippines to teach children about human rights and provide basic sexual education. Recently, she has served as a volunteer for the Lotus Children's Advocacy and Sexual Violence Resource Center, where she helped to compile a new manual for regional investigators and partner disciplines to use to improve collaboration. Congratulations, Morgan. Next, we have Allison Long. Allison Long is a fourth-year student at the SIU School of Dental Medicine. Allison is a member of multiple campus organizations which serve to enhance the education and community commitments of the campus, such as the SIU American Dental Student Association, Give Kids a Smile, and Veteran Care Days. Allison is the wellness chair for the SIU School of Dental Medicine, American Student Dental Association. While being the wellness chair, Allison organized a virtual dental dash 5K, raising over $1,500 for students' membership dues. During the 2001 academic year, Allison was also on the breast cancer fundraiser committee for the School of Dental Medicine Association for Women Dentists. The Association for Women Dentists Committee raised over $2,000 for Siteman cancer research by selling pink-themed scrub caps. Congratulations, Allison. Next, we have Anesh Osakan. who is a fourth-year student at the SIU School of Pharmacy. Anesh has served as the class president for the School of Pharmacy since 2019. In addition, he has served as the president of the School of Pharmacy Student Representative Council and as the fundraising chair for the American Pharmacists Association, Academy of Student Pharmacists, and Illinois Pharmacists Association. He and his other classmates started the professional organization, Industry Pharmacists Organization. In just 3 years' time, the organization has brought an array of opportunities to learn about the different areas of the industry, of the pharmacy industry, and to assist students in finding fellowships and internships. In addition, he was a past member of the SIU Student Advisory Committee from 2020 to 2021. Congratulations, Anesh. We had quite a few applications and we had amazing people in their commitments to service. So as a committee, we also had some honorable mentions that we'd like to recognize today. So first we have Sydney Lanou, who is a first-year medical student at the SIU School of Medicine. During her short time at the Carbondale campus, she helped to establish and organize a food bank for our SIU School of Medicine. In addition, she helped to organize a variety of programming to celebrate Black History Month. These events included a panel discussion, movie screenings, and journal club sessions for first-year medical students. Congratulations, Cindy. Matthew Nanian is a fourth-year medical student at the SIU School of Medicine. He serves on the executive board of Physicians Pipeline P4, Physician Pipeline Preparatory Program, which prepared high school students for a medical degree. In addition, Matt led an initiative to establish Medical Student Research Scholars Program within the medical school to assist students as they prepared for their national board exams. Next, I believe they may be here with us, is Carmaria Coleman, who is a third-year medical student at the SIU School of Medicine. She is the Marginalized Student Network Coordinator and the Anti-Racism Task Force Training Co-Facilitator. She currently serves as the president of the Student National Medical Association. In addition, she served as the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Health Ambassador and worked with the local NAACP and Department of Family and Community Medicine to assist with back-to-school physicians, physicals, and vaccinations. Next, we have Lauren Pack, who is a third-year law student at the School of Law. Lauren currently works as a legal intern for the Jackson County State's Attorney. She had a critical role as the Operations and Communication Chairperson for the SIU School of Law's Outlaw. Outlaw is an organization that promotes the rights and inclusion of LGBTQ+ A+ persons and their allies through legal advocacy and the development of policies and practices that establishes equality and inclusion. In addition, she is working on an Illinois task force, which will also implement the Outlaw programming throughout Illinois law schools. Next, we have Kashali Sonnet, who is a second-year student at the School of Pharmacy. Kashali is the vice president and historian of the class of 2024. In this role, she started a voluntary program through Love Our Elders, in which students volunteer at local nursing homes. She is currently the president of the Student Society of Health System Pharmacists. In addition, she is the fundraising chair for the American Pharmacists Association Academy of Student Pharmacists. Next, we have Olivia Middendorf. She is a master's student in nutrition and dietetic. She's a master's student in nutrition at SIU Edwardsville. She helps to oversee the SIU Community Teaching Garden and is a member of the SIU Climate and Sustainability Advisory Board. She co-created the composting guide and plan of action for the SIU Nutrition Department. Her interest in nutrition has led to volunteering at the SIUE Cupboard Food Pantry and the Nelson Mandela University Feeding Scheme and the El May Eatery Farm to Table program. Next, we have, who wanted to be here, we have Isabella Pruitt, who is an undergraduate student studying public health at SIU at Edwardsville. She is currently the vice president of the SIU undergraduate student body. Under this role, she assisted in reforming the dress code at the SIUE Fitness Center. She also serves as the director of health and wellness education for her sorority, Alpha Phi. She also helped to plan and organize 4 different protests and marches, including the Women's March and the Black Lives Matter protests in Springfield while she was in high school. Next, we have Chloe Goldbach, who is a PhD candidate in counseling at the SIU Carbondale campus, and also the Cecilia M. Howard Fellow for the Paul Simon Public Policy Institute. She has served as an officer for WGSS and has organized community-wide events on transgender and non-binary issues in this role. She is currently a practicum therapist at SIUC's Counseling and Psychology Services with a focus on serving LGBTQ clients clients with eating and body image concerns and clients with histories of sexual trauma. Next, we have Olivia Hood. Olivia is a master's student in public health at SIUC. Olivia is the president of SIUC's Leadership Development Program, also known as LDP. In addition, Olivia serves as a volunteer at the Gary Learning Institute in Carbondale. From 2018 to 2022, she served as the director of service for the TIMI Global Health. Olivia has volunteered numerous hours to educate the community on public health issues, such as flu vaccinations, mental health awareness, and blood drives. Next, we have Nelson Fernandez, who is an undergraduate student in mechanical engineering here at SIUC. Nelson is the founder and project manager of SIUC's Green Roof Project, which helped to install a smart integration system on the roofs of SIUC, as well as installed temporary wind turbines throughout the campus. Nelson and his team are leading the charge for sustainability efforts across SIUC. Then, another person who is actually here with us today is Patrick Murphy. Patrick, would you also like to take an opportunity to come up? We have a certificate for Patrick. If you'd like to take an opportunity to come up and get that. Patrick is a December graduate from SIU Carbondale who majored in political science and specialized in public service and pre-law. Patrick is an extremely active student who has served on a variety of organizations and committees. For example, he was the past president of the Omega Delta fraternity. He has served as the senator on USG. In addition, he was the past president of SIUC's United Nations Association and has a great involvement in local and statewide elections. And next we have Riley Sander, who is an undergraduate student here at SIUC. Riley has served as the president of the Students' Alumni Council and also the secretary for the National Speech Language Hearing Association, and has served as a Saluki ambassador. Riley is a University Excellence Scholar and is a member of the university's honors program. She will graduate summa cum laude in May with a degree in communication studies disorders and scientists. And finally, last but not least, is me. So I am Diana McGrean. I am a PhD candidate in the School of Communication Studies. I currently serve as the president of the Graduate Professional Student Council and also served as the past president for the Graduate Student Union. In the fall of 2020, as well as the fall of 2021, I served as the chair of the Diversity Week Planning Committee, a student serving as the chair, and helped to coordinate and plan over 20 events for each of those weeks to celebrate diversity, equity, and inclusion on the campus of SIU. To ensure the success of Diversity Week this past fall, and in 2021, I personally raised $25,000 in sponsorships to ensure that we had nationally recognized speakers as well as regional speakers come to our campus and participate virtually. So I guess I can get a posed photo in just a bit, just a little bit. But I really want to thank those who made this possible, who gave us the opportunity to grant these awards yet again for the second year. So thank you, President Mahoney, and thank you, Vice President Gubchuk. But there are also very special thank yous that I need to give out to Paula Keefe, as well as Penny Moon, for helping me to organize with these students to make sure they're getting their plaques, getting their certificates, and getting that money. Because each of our winners get $100. And so congratulations to them all. And I hope that I hope that this continues and the success of this continues and that we have more students that apply in the future as our leadership team for the CA does shift and change in the future. But I'm going to pose for my photo now, and thank you all for your time.
I will hold my comments until after the photo.
Chair Hightower, I have while Diana is getting her certificate, I have a quick announcement as well. Could I do that quickly?
Go right ahead.
So before we move on to our next item, and while Diana is getting her certificate, I would like, hold on there a second. I would like to take a moment to congratulate the award recipients and present the co-chairs of our committee. Diana McGreen and Luis Rubio. Luis is the School of Medicine and he couldn't make it, with a certificate of appreciation for their peer leadership and commitment to the committee. From inception, they have shown a competence beyond expectation. They have taken complete ownership by creating a constitution, coordinated meetings, encouraged input from their members on student-related issues, and created the Student Distinguished Service Award that was presented today. They are enthusiastic and willing to serve and collaborate in support of the efforts to provide for the needs of our current and prospective students, faculty, staff, and the community. Diana and Luis, thank you for taking the time and energy to lead this committee. You are truly appreciated.
Let me on behalf of the entire board, thank you, co-chairs, for number one, your great organizational work and leadership, and for all of the recipients. You have great resumes, and no doubt the outstanding work that you're doing to make our communities, our campuses more accessible, and just making a difference in the lives of so many people. We want to congratulate you and best of luck to you as you go forward and continue to make a difference in the lives of folks across this world. Thank you. Great presentation. Moving on, the next item is Centers and Institutes Report FY 2021. Vice President Gopcha.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, as well as other members of the board, should have received a copy of the latest Centers and Institute report. It includes an imposing list of research, instructional, and service activities in support of our academic programs. Each center or institute provides faculty and students resources to learn more in specific areas of interest to them. I requested each campus to select a center or institute to highlight. I would like to thank Drs. Gary Kinsel, Don Torrey, and Jerry Weinberg for helping coordinate these presentations. Joining us today are Dr. Michelle Kibbe from SIUC, who will present on the Autism Spectrum Disorder Center, and Dr. Jessica Despain from SIUE, who will present on the IRIS Center. Earlier, Jeff Franklin presented on the Center for Rural Health and Social Services and the Institute for Rural Health. Dr. Despain, would you please make your presentation, and then we'll follow that with a presentation by Dr. Kibbe. I believe she's joining us virtually.
Yes, I'm here. I'm very excited to be here today. We have to probably get some technical issues straightened out first, so. Thank you so much for this opportunity to tell you more about the Interdisciplinary Research and Informatics Scholarship Center, which I direct with Christine Hildebrandt at SIUE. The IRIS Center provides facilities, equipment, and collaborative support for faculty and students who want to use technology to further our understanding of the humanities and social sciences, a field of research called the digital humanities. Our projects consider history, culture, journalism, art, literature, and languages, just for example. Now, one of the first questions I think we always get after that definition is, what did you actually mean by the digital humanities? Is one of those things that nobody really knows quite what it is. So I've tried to find some good examples for you to demonstrate why the digital humanities matters. The digital humanities, or DH, humanizes data. I just want to show you one example here. This is especially important now when so much about how we have come to see the world is mitigated by big data sets about people and their behaviors. COVID data, for example, has been mostly shared with maps or numbers alone. The New York Times recognized their COVID dashboard erased the impacts of the pandemics for individuals, and they created this digital humanities-inspired visualization with silhouettes of people that multiplies chronologically and includes excerpts from eulogies of those who have died. You'll have to go and look at it yourself. It's this amazing visualization with people who pop up on the screen in multitudes, and then you're going to scroll for me. And you can see the full impacts of the pandemic that couldn't be conveyed by a map. Just down, yep, there we go. And then you can see, you know, what they did and oftentimes what they contributed to the pandemic efforts too. Another example of the digital humanities in action is the Colored Conventions Project, which archives the work of men and women involved in organizing for civil and human rights during the 19th century. Projects like these make archives accessible to everyone and tell a more inclusive story about our past. My last example here, called Mapping Inequalities, is an example where creators use content-rich maps to show the full scale of dislocation that families and communities faced as they were displaced by urban renewal projects during the mid-20th century. In these ways, digital humanities technologies help us make our culture stories more visible and more publicly available. And they do that by helping us think through how digital spaces work and how we can make them less alienating and understand that they are spaces that are inhabited by humans. So what does that look like in IRIS exactly? At the IRIS Center, we take a social justice approach to digital humanities. We focus on community building and providing greater access to technological resources and training for students at K through 12 and college levels. Except for work underway at the University of Illinois, IRIS is the only digital humanities center of this size and influence in the entire state. The center received Illinois Board of Higher Education status in November of 2020, but we began as a faculty-led initiative in 2010. Since that time, the center and its affiliated faculty have been awarded more than $2.5 million in grant funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities, the National Science Foundation, and the Social Science Research Council, just to name a few. But what does IRIS really look like in action, and how is it supporting our communities? For Digitally St. Louis, that's a picture you can see up here on the screen to the right if you want to see the project in action. We worked with middle grade students to build a website that included walking tours, podcasts, and cultural exhibitions about their city. These students claimed agency as citizens, just as middle grade students, by reframing negative narratives that circulate about their home and its inhabitants. IRIS helped build community with Conversation Toward a Brighter Future 2.0. I'd be remiss to say, not to say that that was actually a collaboration with Dr. Ed Hightower, who's here today, which used digital storytelling to teach young adults how to listen to, understand, and communicate their own stories and the stories of others. During the 2-year program, 785 students from 9 area high schools interacted with one another and members of the community as they shared stories about their lives in efforts to transcend divisions of race, class, and age. And I want to say briefly that they were building videos about that work, but in the process of doing that, they were having actual conversations with people they might not communicate with otherwise. We also worked with Illinois Humanities, the state's premier cultural nonprofit, to share our past with the aim of imagining possible futures. We now live significant portions of our lives online, and our experiences are mitigated digitally in ways we don't always fully understand. DH invites students to apply a humanistic eye to the technology they're immersed in, to use those skills to understand and interact in a digital world more empathetically. The IRIS Center has a successful minor, and we see students in all kinds of ways every week, but this year we are significantly increasing our student impacts so that with 2 new programs, we will have integrated digital humanities into every aspect of the SIUE student experience. And I want to tell you about those 2 programs today. The first is Community-Oriented Digital Engagement Scholars, or CODES. Codes is an alternative general education pathway for Black, Latinx, Pell eligible, or first-generation students at SIUE and in partnership with Lewis and Clark Community College. Students in Codes will work with community organizations to address the world's most pressing problems. Each year, 25 incoming freshmen will be awarded full tuition for their participation in this competitive program. Code scholars take their education beyond the walls of the classroom and into the St. Louis region. As scholars, they'll collaborate in research team courses facilitated by mentoring instructors and embedded community organizations to address issues in our region specifically, such as food insecurity or the inequitable effects of climate change. The research teams will analyze, visualize, and share their work with the broader public. They'll use data mining, mapping, storytelling, networking, and cultural analytics. The pathway gives students firsthand experience using 21st century skills that employers are actively seeking right now in their advertisements. Those include collaborating effectively, communicating in digital modes, and interpreting the complexity and effects of large-scale problems. The first cohort of students will be working in Alton, Illinois, with the theme Resiliency and Spatial Justice in the Face of Climate Change. As a Mississippi River town, Alton has a storied past. After the Missouri Compromise, Alton was a stop for the Underground Railroad and a hub of activity for abolitionists and those escaping from slavery. The city was also the site of racial segregation throughout the 20th century. Redlining meant that Black communities were relegated to parts of the city at the mercy of the river's frequent flooding. And extreme flooding again hit the city in 2019, leading to new concerns about racial justice. So this theme will allow students to consider water quality, flood management, and housing practices, and work in small communities and also understand digital communities in new ways as they develop sites that speak to Alton and as they work with people face to face. In future years, we plan to expand into Fairmont City, Collinsville, East St. Louis, and also St. Louis neighborhoods. We have David Guerrero with us here today. He's an IRIS intern this semester, and he's been developing short videos, we call them book trailers, about the Codes program and about some of the books that are foundational for our thinking behind the program. So he's going to share some of his thoughts with us. I might need some help moving him over. Sorry. Go ahead, David.
Well, good morning, everyone. I regret that I couldn't speak with you all in person, but given the nature of our program, maybe it's more fitting that I'm doing it digitally. So my name is David Guerrero. I'm an undergraduate in English Literature and Applied Communication Studies. And during my time, just a few months so far as an intern at Codes, my studies on spatial justice have focused on the local stories and the people who tell them. We are a digital humanities center, but Codes also has a very humanistic outlook. It's very people-oriented. We're looking at cities and communities not just as epicenters of people, but catalysts made by the people who populate them. We're trying to stay focused on the real. As my internship has developed my interdisciplinary lens, I've been creating those book trailers, as Dr. Despain has mentioned. They're going to be out on the Codes website by August. I'm elated to be creating these book trailers. I've been afforded freedom to learn in ways that no normal class could really offer. You know, it's making this sort of blend between my applied communication studies, between doing interviews with people, and then writing the scripts, developing the trailers. Because I think Codes is a program, it lets students discover how they can best research and how that research can best be applied. You know, it teaches them to solve practical problems, not just by forcing tools upon them, but by giving them the opportunity to hone their own skills and passions. And I think that's really valuable. And I know it's been valuable to me.
Thank you, David. It felt, yes, PowerPoint. It felt like we had our first codes pilot with just David this semester, so it was really exciting to work with him. The other project launching in IRIS this fall is called Realizing Inclusive Student Engagement in the Digital Humanities, or RISE-DH, a new internship program for African American students. Technology fields are not often geared in content or design toward addressing or educating people of color. RISE-DH addresses this digital divide by combining the study of Black literature and culture with technology to increase access to and interest in the digital humanities. Faculty will train and mentor 20 interns as they work in IRIS, and they in turn will mentor other Black students in programs like Codes and Fame and Game, which was an academic program for all first-year Black students at SIUE. RISE-DH initiates a vibrant, tech-driven network of African American students, and through its full impact, 20 faculty and over 150 students will learn DH tools and methods. I want to end today by just telling you a little bit about some of our partnerships as well. Because of our size and influence in the region, the IRIS Center has established several partnerships with other universities and community-embedded organizations. A key example is the NEH-funded Expanding Access to Digital Humanities in St. Louis, a collaboration with Lindenwood University to build a DH network for the region. The program focuses on strengthening DH pedagogies at under-resourced schools. Also, we have the Recovery Hub for American Women Writers, a collaboration with the University of Nebraska and St. Catherine's University in St. Paul, Minnesota, to generate a network of scholars recovering neglected literary texts. And we were recently awarded an American Historical Association grant for a project in which students will create an exhibit on migration in partnership with Madison Historical Communities, the Madison County Historical Society. I'd be remiss not to remind you too of that Lewis and Clark partnership in the implementation of codes. Students will be taking codes coursework at Lewis and Clark at the same time they do in SIUE, and in collaboration with one another, and then they will transfer to SIUE at the end of their sophomore year. So it'll create this influx of transfer students. As this presentation highlights, the IRIS Center's approach to the digital humanities fosters community connection, increases access to technological training for 21st century careers, and amplifies marginalized voices. We're so glad to have had the opportunity to share some of our work with you today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the IRIS Center. Thank you.
Questions or comments? Let me just say, Dr. Descreen and Hildebrand, I am extremely pleased to see your outstanding work continues in the area of digital humanities, and wow, the degree in which your work is expanding. I worked closely with these two professionals about 4 years ago through the Manny Jackson Center for Humanities, and the outstanding work performed by these two professionals is just simply incredible as to how you've reached out to all of the local high schools, and now you're going beyond the local high schools and how you're working collaboratively with Lewis and Clark, and now I see you reaching over to Lindenwood. I commend you for your dedication and commitment to making a difference, and I look forward to continuing my support of your efforts. So great job.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hightower. We enjoyed the work that we did with you too, and I think it was really helpful in the evolution of the center.
Thank you. We'll continue on with our next presentation. Do we have another presentation?
Yes, I believe Dr. Kibbe is on Zoom with us.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Sorry, I had to be, I wasn't able to jump on right away because the screen was still shared with the other presenter.
Sure.
So thank you all for allowing me to present today and via Zoom. I appreciate it. So I am the director of the Center for Autism Spectrum Disorders, and I have been asked by our faculty to talk with you about some of our amazing work that we are doing currently, as well as to briefly mention the impact that our cut in funding has had. So I'm going to attempt to integrate these two areas in my presentation. The current estimate by the CDC is that 1 in 44 children in the United States have autism spectrum disorder. As some of you may know, this is a very challenging population to work with at times, especially when the disorder is severe. They have some very unique needs versus children with other disorders. In fiscal year 2021, here at the center, we were able to serve 152 families, providing over 200 treatment hours and 119 assessment hours. These services are provided by graduate students. 18 students have provided these services, receiving over 160 hours of supervision in so doing. This was despite the pandemic, which also greatly reduced the amount of services that we could provide due to in-person restrictions. So I'm pretty excited about what we were able to do despite the pandemic. This was provided, this work was supervised by 4 faculty, some of whom were in speech language pathology, some were in applied behavioral analysis, and some were in clinical psychology. And all of whom had 25% time or less, many less, dedicated to the center. So very hardworking. Related to that, presentations and publications were a little lower than we would have liked. But I was able to submit about 14 grants applications, and we were able to attain some extramural funding, research support that was separate from TAP, which supports the clinical services. So we will be looking at interprofessional practice and have them this year. So this current academic year, we have provided over 350 hours. We're able to, of therapy. We were able to provide greater services now that the pandemic restrictions had lessened, and greater assessment hours as well. Training 25 students and working with individuals with ASD. And also had some more presentations, some of which were at our SIUC Research Day. To talk about the reduction in TAP funding, prior to 2021, fiscal year 2020, when we had a much greater TAP budget, we were able to serve 333 families with autism spectrum disorder, providing over 5,000 treatment hours and 161 assessments. This work was done by 60 students, and they received over 1,000 hours of supervision. So the main difference was that the TAP budget, when it was much larger, allowed us to hire clinical faculty who were dedicated at 100% time. So by having, they were dedicated to the center and able to provide a much greater supervision load, training more students and serving more families in that aspect. If you're not aware, TAP is the grant that supports our center. It is funded by Illinois Public Act 930395. So that is where our budget comes from, and that is dedicated to just providing clinical service. So our clinical service is in direct proportion to the money that we receive. So not only, it's important to note, not only are we providing all these great services to the community in our region, some of our families drive over an hour just to get these services. So we're meeting a big family need, but we're also meeting a great need in Illinois in terms of unfilled positions. So when I did a quick skim of current need within our professions, there were over 200 unfilled applied behavioral analysis positions in our state, 300 speech language pathology positions, and 50 clinical psychology positions within Illinois at that time. So we're helping to meet a need not only of our families in the here and now, but future families across the state by our graduate students who will be able to go out and serve them, having had this training and working with a very unique population. So I think we're doing a valuable service on both aspects. I also have been working with other professions on campus. We are part of the Health and Human Services College. So I have met with the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program, and we are looking to have some nursing students come and consult at our center, which will help having more students in nursing trained to work with children with ASD. And then occupational therapy also is looking at having a pediatric practicum within our center when their students are ready. Both are new programs, so they're looking forward to having some of their pediatric training be involved at the center. Thank you very much for your time and support. We appreciate the support of the Board of Trustees and recognizing us as an official center on campus, allowing us to even better serve the needs of our region and our state. I did try to keep it within 5 minutes, so it's rather brief, but I do appreciate your time, and I'm very happy to answer any questions that you have.
I have one as a former superintendent of schools. Could you talk a little bit? I did not hear you mention partnerships with local school districts. This is such a critical area. And certainly, I know that the public schools are in need of professional support, partnerships, and so on. So could you talk a little bit about what type of partnerships you have with the local schools, or how you reach out and extend your professional expertise to the local school districts?
Yes. Prior to 2020, prior to fiscal year 2021, Mark Dixon had worked with many, I think at least 3 or 4 schools in the area, and we had started applied behavioral analysis students went into the schools and actually had practicums there where they could work with teachers and help work with those children in the schools themselves. With the TAP budget cut, we haven't had as much flexibility to be able to do that. But we do have 2 ABA faculty who are going into Head Start to help train their students, their faculty to work with their students and helping to address some of the needs that the children with ASD bring to these settings.
Well, certainly down in the rural areas, there's that real need there. And I would hope that the next time we give a report, we'll be able to give a little bit more focus on how we're reaching out and supporting those rural school districts, because as you and I both know, there is a critical need there for support to parents and educators alike.
That is we have been advocating for TAP to try to get more support. You can see we've had, they had 3 times greater budget in just a couple of years ago. So we are working to try to strengthen that again. And that is a wonderful area to try to bring in, to bring back into our budget proposal. I agree with you.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you, but go right ahead.
Certainly very useful thing they are doing, and as I agree with Dr. Hightower, it is really needed more so in the rural areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. If there are no other comments, thanks to all of our presenters today. Thanks to our recipients. Congratulations. And if there's no other business before the Academic Matters Committee, this meeting is adjourned.
Dr. Hightower, the next Finance Committee meeting, Mr. Tedrick, please proceed.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a question regarding the agenda. Will the trustee reports be given at the end of the committee reports? Because I have a short one.
That will be given during our regular meeting. This is
okay.
Meetings. Trustee reports will be during the regular meeting.
The Finance Committee meeting is now in session. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting held February 10th, 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote. Yes?
Curtis
Yes.
and Sharma.
Yes.
And the minutes are approved. Committee item 2 is an approval of purchase of Under Armour athletic apparel and equipment for intercollegiate athletics at SIU Carbondale. Mr. Kupchak, will you present?
Thank you, Trustee Tedrick. A shameless plug for Saluki Athletics. The student investment group, the young woman who spoke with the injury, is a student athlete, just soccer player. And our soccer team went undefeated in the exhibition season, just saying. And our student athletes have a 3.55 grade point average, the highest in the Missouri Valley Conference. So just an example, great things going on in SIU Carbondale Athletics. So today,
how'd our golf team do this year?
Excuse me?
How'd our golf team do?
Golf team, the men's won the Missouri Valley Conference by 17 strokes. We have now won 2 conference titles this year, the most since 2013 and 14. Great things are going on. Our student athletes are doing wonderful things. So today we're here to talk about how good they look while they're doing that. This is the apparel. So in front of you, the contract that we had has expired. We went through, we started a process before I became interim director of athletics, the state procurement process. We put both the apparel and the equipment together. We put them out for bid. We have received 2 bids, and the one we present to you is from a company in Texas, BSN Sports. And we think it was certainly the best of the 2. We're impressed with BSN. They work with a lot of schools. And so I present that today, Trustee Tedrick, for your consideration.
Any discussion? Is there a motion to accept?
Moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary, please perform the roll call vote.
Tedrick,
Yes?
Curtis
Yes.
and Sharma.
Yes.
And the item is approved. Thank you, Mr. Kupchak. Item 3 is approval of purchase 340B pharmaceutical program, which is board agenda item P. Number 4 is approval of purchase amendment to physician coverage School of Medicine. That is board agenda item Q. Item 5 is approval of purchase physician coverage School of Medicine. Agenda item R. Number 6 is approval of purchase practice management system annual maintenance and technical support, board agenda item S. And number 7 is teaching clinic and academic office building lease, which is board agenda item T. Dean Cruz, would you speak to these?
I will, thank you very much. Items PQRST, just like the waves on an electrocardiogram. Be more appropriate. Okay, they're all clinical, they're all with non-appropriated funds. Matter P is for 340B pharmaceuticals. We present this annually. It's for our federally qualified health centers. Patients get medications at a lower price. The program breaks even or makes money. So we seek approval for our contract with McKesson and Cardinal for $3 million for the year. Q seeks approval to extend the use of locum tenens physicians to meet our responsibility in pediatric orthopedic surgery. We seek to add $620,000 to the previously approved $2.6 million to locumtenens.com. That's right. Matter R is to renew our locum tenens agreement for a pediatric general surgeon and a second pediatric orthopedic surgeon. And we seek to approve a purchase order for $5,478,000 again to locumtenens.com. For both of these last 2, Q and R, if we find our own faculty position, we have a way to get out of the contracts to end them. S seeks approval for a purchase order for renewal of our practice management system, Athena IDX, $1.1 million for 12 months. It's an excellent product. And T seeks approval to renew our lease and expand our space for otolaryngology head and neck surgery, ENT in other words. So we seek to add 1,470 square feet to the existing 19,200 and to renew the lease for a 10-year term for a total of $7,400,000, approximately lease overhead maintenance for the expanded space for all 10 years. It's an excellent facility for an excellent program. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions? If not, do I have a motion to accept item 3 through 7?
So moved.
Wait
Mr.
a minute.
Chair, I would like.
Let's do 3 through 6.
Thank you.
We'll do 7 separate.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Kedrick,
Yes?
Curtis,
Yes.
and Sharma.
Yes.
And items 3 through 6 are approved. Item 7, is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
All right, I'll second it. Madam Secretary?
I'd like to recuse myself from discussion.
Okay.
And then Kedrick
Yes?
and Sharma.
Yes.
And that item is approved.
And I will abstain in the vote.
Thank you, Dean Cruz. Item 8 is approval of purchase general printing services at SIUE. Item 9 is approval of NCLEX preparation and curriculum support for the School of Nursing at SIUE. Chancellor Minton, would you like to present? Okay. Provost Cobb, are you going to present these 2 items?
I'm presenting the second item. Dr. Taylor is presenting the first.
Okay.
That is correct. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start with the general printing services. This matter would award a contract to retain services of a printing company for various print jobs for SIUE. The various printing contracts will be funded by the departments requiring services. The Office of Marketing and Communications shall coordinate the printing projects issued to the printing contractor. The awardee is to provide and maintain a high level of quality and efficient turnaround time for a variety of print communications. The contract will be effective July 1, 22 through June 30th, 23, with the option to renew for 5 consecutive one-year periods for a total of 6 years. The contract would be subject to renewal upon demonstration of satisfactory service, continued need, of course, favorable market conditions, and funds appropriated. The estimated cost of the contract over a 6-year period is $2,475,000. The Chancellor, SIUE, Vice Chancellor for Administration has recommended this matter to the President. And thank you. We seek your approval.
Thank you. Chancellor Minor, would you introduce Vice Chancellor Morris Taylor?
I'm going to introduce our provost, Dr. Denise Cobb.
Okay.
Right.
Is Vice Chancellor Taylor presenting anything? Because it says here that
Vice President Taylor just presented item number 8.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Present item number 9.
All right.
All right, thank you. Nursing students must pass NCLEX as part of the licensure process. The proposed contract provides for the purchase of a comprehensive assessment and preparation package to support all pre-licensure students at the SIUE School of Nursing. SIUE students' pass rates have improved significantly since we began using this package. The contract would be for a 3-year period beginning July 1, 2022. The university reserves the option to renew the contract for up to 2 years. The Chancellor and I recommend this item for the President and Board's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion for the Finance Committee to approve items 8 through 10?
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Secretary.
Second.
Kedrick,
Yes?
Curtis,
Yes.
and Sharma.
Yes.
And these items are approved. Item 11 is proposed tuition rate and fee matters at SIUC. Chancellor Lane.
Thank you, Trustee Tedrick. In terms of tuition rate proposals, I'm pleased to report that the SIU Carbondale campus is recommending no increases to tuition for its undergraduate or graduate students. Pleased to report this is the 5th year in a row the undergraduate tuition rate will be unchanged. The SI School of Medicine has proposed a tuition increase of $14 per credit hour for MD students and $8 per credit hour for the medical school portion of the physician assistant student tuition. These are increases of about 1.75%. In terms of student fees, the campus is endorsing the resolution from the undergraduate and graduate student governments, and I might add that Mr. Isaiah Overton, our USG president, Dr. Diana, I'm giving you a doctorate already, so soon to be Dr. Diana McGrean, who's done a fabulous job, has worked very closely with our students on this particular resolution and received an overwhelming amount of support. But they would like to increase the general student fee by 2.6%, which will increase the fee by $3 per credit hour from $117 per credit hour to $120 per credit hour is what it turns out to be. And this will support student activities across campus, create a more vibrant student life, to engage our students, to keep, not only recruit our students, but to retain our students. Very healthy initiative there. The student health insurance fee will increase by 4.6% as shown in Table 2, which is in accordance with the board-approved contract with our vendor. This represents an increase of $48 per semester, taking the student insurance cost per semester $1,091 per semester.
Sorry about that. Bye-bye. You too now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
The student health insurance is only applied to those students who use it, as they can opt out of the insurance, other insurance coverage. So overall, I'm pleased or proud of the efforts of our campus, the efforts they've made to be able to hold the line on cost to our students, which keeps SIU Carbondale accessible and affordable. And that is the end of my report.
Thank you, Chancellor. Yes, Ed? Oh, I thought you wanted to speak. Is there a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
So second.
Madam Secretary?
Tedrick,
Yes?
Curtis,
Yes.
and Sharma.
Yes.
The item is approved. Item number 12 is proposed tuition rates and fee matters at SIUE. Chancellor Minor.
Thank you. I am going to present a range of proposed increases, but I want to share them with you, but I also want to show them to you. We're going to wear this floor out over here with our tech team. That's not the presentation. It's the one that says tuition fee. Perfect. Well, let me just begin as we're pulling up the presentation. I want to start with sort of our approach to the proposed increases. It was very important for the SIUE community to preserve affordability while also trying to hold the line and maintain academic quality. And I think you will see that throughout the presentation. The first slide that you will see when it appears will show you where we are today. You have the clicker there. Thank you. And what you see here on the first slide is a list of all Illinois public institutions. We have broken them up into two categories. The first category you see are mostly research institutions. SIUE obviously is a doctoral and professional granting institution. And you see that SIU Edwardsville is the lowest among institutions that are granting doctoral degrees. But if you look at the lower grouping of campuses, you'll see institutions that primarily grant master's degrees. And even among those institutions, SIUE still posts the lowest tuition and fees in the state of Illinois or among Illinois public.
We are not able to see the slides.
They're not able to see.
Okay, I can see now.
Okay, so I think if you're able, for those who are joining us on Zoom, to see the slide that's on the screen again.
Yeah, we can see now.
Thank you. That SIUE today posts the lowest tuition and fees among all Illinois publics. What is being proposed are modest increases for undergraduate tuition, graduate tuition, the accelerated bachelor's in nursing, the DNP, School of Pharmacy, and the School of Dental Medicine. The second column there shows you the percentage increase, and we've also provided for the board the actual dollar amount for the academic year. In addition to the tuition increase, we're also proposing a general fee increase along with room and board. I think it's important to note that the 5% increase in the general student fee was endorsed by SIUE student government, along with the proposed increase for housing and dining. Again, you see the percentage increase, also the corresponding dollar amount for each academic year. Let me just go here. So when you add up the proposed fees to include the general student fee, housing and dining for an undergraduate student who will arrive in fall 2023 and presumably live on campus with a meal plan, the annual dollar amount increase will amount to roughly $730 for the academic year. Now let's assume that we did that. What you see here is the same chart that we provided previously, and this assumes that no other Illinois public institution raises tuition, even with the proposed increase. SIUE would still post the lowest tuition and fees among Illinois publics, that not only in the research category, but also among master's degree granting institutions. Obviously, what we have agreed to do with the undergraduate tuition increase is all revenue generated from that increase will be committed to our scholarship pool. That will amount to roughly $334,000 additional dollars in the scholarship pool for SIUE students. Will enhance our ability to support graduate research and support the quality and professional training experience of our students. Fee increase, as you all well know, that we're all chasing technological upgrades, facility updates, and to support the mental and emotional well-being of our students with health and counseling services. Mr. Chair, that concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you. Is any questions, any discussion?
Yes, Trustee Tredrick, I have questions for Chancellor Minor, or a comment. Basically, I'm very much concerned about these fee raises and tuition and the housing. And that's what happened to Carbondale campus 15, 20 years back. They start raising the tuition and fees, and we paid the price from 20,000 students to basically 10, 11,000. And I see the pattern at Edwardsville, they are following the same thing. So I'm very much concerned. I cannot support these things. Only thing in this whole item I can support is a 3% meal plan increase because of inflation. And at the time when we are getting 5% surplus extra budget for this fiscal year and 5% extra for next year from the state, I think this is not appropriate to increase the tuition.
Any other discussion?
Move approval.
I'll second that. Madam Secretary?
Kedrick,
Yes?
Curtis,
Yes.
Sharma,
Abstain.
All right, the item is approved. Item number 13 is temporary financial arrangement for fiscal year 2023, which we do every year. Dr. Stuckey?
You do this every year to make sure that the administration has the authority to continue paying bills after the first of the fiscal year and before we present a budget to you in September. We seek your approval.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Kedrick,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
And the item is approved. Committee item 14 proposes the establishment of SIU System Initiatives, Inc., university-related organizations. Dr. Stuckey.
SIU currently has 9 separate 501c3 corporations that engage in activities to support the university. Each campus has a foundation, an alumni association, and a research park. And we have 2 practice plans, one for the School of Medicine, one for the School of Dental Medicine, and SIUE has a charter school. All of those are 501c3s. These corporations are designated university-related organizations by the Legislative Audit Commission, and their behavior in activities is governed, and our interactions with the university are governed by those guidelines of the Legislative Audit Committee. The proposal to add another URO arose primarily to look for ways to hold equities that were assigned to the universities as a result of business startups developed by our faculty. It seemed inappropriate to hold these equities in the university's treasury, since the treasury's holdings are highly restricted by the state. As discussions proceeded, the prospect of also using a new ERO for technology transfer developments for possible collaborations with the private sector and other system-wide development projects look promising. Therefore, we're bringing forward a proposal to proceed with developing another URO called SIU Systems Initiatives, defined in the attached documents. With your approval, the next steps will be for the president and the chancellors to meet, to choose a board of directors and develop plans to administer the organization. Then an application will be filed with the state to establish a URO as a 501c3 corporation. We seek your approval.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Just want to say, I think it's important to point out that what we're trying to do here is really create something new that will allow us to do some things we can't currently do, but it's certainly in no means take away from the work of the foundations and other 501c3s on each of the campuses. And that's important that both Chancellor Minor and Chancellor Lane will be very much involved in how this develops and evolves, and as well as having representation from this board on that, we'll also make sure that we kind of keep it really doing things that are new, not necessarily, not taking away anything from what we're currently doing.
All right, thank you.
Move approval.
Second.
Seconded. Madam Secretary?
Kedrick,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Sharma,
Yes.
And the motion is approved. Item 15 is authorization for the sale and issuance of bonds, which is renovations and upgrades to housing facilities, parking, construction, and maintenance, and refunding of the board's outstanding housing and auxiliary facility system revenue bonds. Dr. Stuckey.
Thank you. In 2009, SIU's total debt totaled 280 million. Our debt has declined since then, and present time it is 160 million. That means our debt has declined $120 million over that period of time. We have developed plans for issuing new bonds for 3 projects. As you stated, there are 3 uses for these: to refund $25 million of bonds, which we think with our target of savings in debt service of being $800,000, and to finance $11 million for housing improvements at SIUC and $9 million in parking improvements at SIUE. As you know, probably, the financial markets are extremely volatile now, and in the last 3 weeks, they have moved against us. As of yesterday, our savings for refinancing would be minimal, and we would not proceed with the financing portion of this sale. We would hold until later to find an opportunity that might provide the possible savings. However, there are new positive forces at work. Yesterday, we received a call from Moody's. They informed us that they were upgrading our bond rating. The upgrade now puts our bonds at investment grade. S&P has already done so a few months ago. We believe there is possibly a further upgrade by SIP in the coming weeks. We hope so. Pricing the bonds are scheduled for the middle of May. We'll make a call then on whether we will refinance current bonds. We seek your approval for this bond sale.
Thank you, Dr. Stuckey, and those upgrades are, that's exciting. I'm glad to hear that. And I know your office has done a lot of good work in those areas.
Thank you.
Do I have or any other discussion?
Just one question. Do we have any variable rate debt?
No.
Thank you.
We have put it in our policy to consider it, but we've not gone down that path yet.
It's good right now. Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Kedrick,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Sharma.
Yes.
And the motion is approved. And finally, if there's no other further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Mr. Tedrick. The next meeting is the Architectural Design Committee. Mr. Simmons, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item is approval of the minutes from February 10th. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Whittington, you mind calling the roll?
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
and Kedrick.
Yes.
Thank you. Items 2 through 4 proposes work at McClafferty and the Carbondale campus. And I believe Dr. Lane, if you will, can you present this?
Yeah, we'll bring the good doctor forward. He's got some great information. I know he will take it from here with each of the items. Carol?
Thank you, Chancellor Lane, and thank you, trustees, for considering these 3 board matters that will greatly transform the McClafferty Annex and add to the university's research mission and community engagement opportunities that are unlike anything else we've done on this campus. There are 3 matters before you today, board agenda items K, L, and M. While they are 3 separate matters, they are all interconnected and leverage the funding from each project in a way that brings greater value to the building, the research enterprise, community engagement, and student opportunities. In total, the formal approval needed from the board totaled $6.1 million when combining the 3 projects. There will be another $700,000 expended on related purchases through normal university procurement channels that do not require formal board approval. There is no doubt this is a large investment in McClafferty Annex. There are many points of good news to share in these requests. Let me start with this. 93% of the needed funding will be provided through 2 grants from the state of Illinois and through support from the SIU Foundation, as noted in the board matters. The rest of the funds needed will come from non-appropriated university funds that have been identified by the campus budget director and the vice chancellor for research. This project will help the university finally realize the full potential and promise of McClafferty Annex, which was approved by the SIU Board of Trustees in 2012 to become a centerpiece of research activities for the university. To highlight the board matters, I want to actually work a little bit out of order. First, item L. This project was announced by Governor Pritzker as one of 8 new wet lab spaces in the state of Illinois last year through the Rebuild Illinois Capital Program. The project will create state-of-the-art research facilities that were envisioned by the state when the funding opportunity was announced. Second, item M. This project is part of the Illinois Innovation Network, which is another signature program for the state that will create the iFirm Hub, which was previewed by the board at a meeting a couple of years ago. This will bring together collaborative initiatives focused on food, entrepreneurship, research, and manufacturing, hence the name iFirm. Last item, K. This request is for the work funded by the SIU Foundation that will support the Fermentation Science Institute and the iFirm Hub, and will help in general to ensure the building projects can be completed and that we are fully able to realize the investments made by the state and the university in the McClafferty Annex. We are grateful to the state of Illinois and to the SIU Foundation for the funding to make this all become a reality. These are projects that are years in the making, and it's exciting to be at the point where we are able to proceed. I am pleased to present them to you today, and am respectfully asking for your support of these requests. With that, I will share with you a 3-minute video that shows better than I can do in words the scope and vision of the projects associated with these requests. After the video, I'll be happy to entertain any questions.
While that video is teeing up, just so you know, Dr. McCarroll is our professor of chemistry and founding director of the Fermentation Center. He is the driving force behind much of what you're going to see today. He does a fantastic job.
SIU's iFirm Hub in the McClafferty Annex, a place where education, business, and technology come together, has made a big impact on Southern Illinois, and we've only just begun to tap its potential. Recent grants and investments have us poised for significant growth that will serve the region in numerous ways, and there are multiple opportunities for investment, collaboration, and more. Currently, the iFirm Hub is home to SIU's Fermentation Science Institute, the Center for Fisheries, Aquaculture, and Aquatic Sciences, and an ultra-fast laser facility supported by the National Institutes of Health. The Fermentation Science Institute features educational programs, including a Bachelor of Science, as well as research and business partnerships. Our FSI Service Laboratory provides certified testing for beer, wine, and spirits for more than 60 businesses in Illinois. Our program is the only one in Illinois, and only one of 7 four-year programs recognized by the Master Brewers Association of the Americas. With the launch of a number of new initiatives, the iFirm Hub will become a premier facility in fermentation science and value-added agriculture. As a part of the Illinois Innovation Network, a $2.5 million award supports expanding the infrastructure into the Illinois food, entrepreneurship, research, and manufacturing hub. The iFirm Hub will incorporate a versatile facility that'll include a sensory lab, a teaching and research production kitchen, and vertically integrated pilot facilities for malting, distilling, brewing, and cheese making. These initiatives have received grants and support from the USDA Rural Development, the Delta Regional Authority, the Fay Minor McGill Endowment, the College of Agricultural, Life, and Physical Sciences, and Artisan Still Designs. We're extremely excited about our partnership with Ravinia Brewing Company, which will place a large-scale commercial production brewery in the hub. This is a phenomenal educational opportunity for students and a perfect example of how educators and businesses can collaborate. The Ravinia project was boosted by a generous grant of $1.1 million from the SIU Foundation. We are also thrilled by the $2.7 million award that allows the establishment of the BioLaunch Core facility, which will include analytical and biotechnology core laboratories and a business development annex, focusing on the areas of food and value-added agriculture. Using local agriculturally based resources, the Corps will develop next-generation green processes to make cleaner fuels, superior foods and beverages, and protect the environment. The Business Development Annex expands activities of the SIU Research Park to support emerging and growing businesses. Current and future activities now possible at the iFirm Hub will provide an enormous boost to education, business, and the environment. We welcome your engagement, whether as an investor, a student, a business, or a collaborator. Join us in this opportunity to grow the state from our hub in Southern Illinois.
Very good. Any questions for Dr. McCarroll? I'm hearing none, so is there a motion to approve items K, L, and M and move them to the board's
So moved.
agenda? Thank you.
Second.
Moved in second, Madam Secretary?
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
and Tedrick.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Item 5 on our agenda is an item regarding the Edwardsville campus. It's a project for budget approval for parking lots. I'll let Dr. Minor explain it a little further. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Morris Taylor is joining us via Zoom, who will make the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Taylor.
Dr. Taylor.
Thank you. This project seeks approval actually to resurface, rebuild various parking lots and parking roadways and construct a parking lot H and WH of Woodland Hall and to install updated lighting in SIUE. Campus parking lots require periodic updates and modifications regularly to maintain the value of the property and utilization of the lots. The proposed project includes resurfacing, rebuilding of lots A, E, P9, and also roadways P1, P2, and P3. The project also includes replacing high mount lighting in lots P7, P8, and B with low-level energy-efficient LED lighting. Lot P7 will receive renovations to sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. The project includes a redesign to Lot E to improve both pedestrian and vehicular traffic flow, and most importantly, also safety. Lot H will consist of constructing a new asphalt surface to serve student parking needs better on the west side of the campus. Now, Lot P9 and roadways for P1, P2, and P3 will be resurfaced with existing footprint. This work will be completed in the summer of 2023. The initial phase of the project calls for the design and construction of a new Woodland Hall lot. This project is being done to first facilitate the use of Lot WH, Woodland Hall, for construction of the new health science building. Essentially, it'll be a staging ground for the contractors and construction workers when they commence work for the health science building. The new lot, WH parking lot, will be complete in the fall of 2022. The project will include new pavement markings, curbs, replacing and/or constructing accessible curb ramps, sidewalks, converting again to low-level LED lighting in all of the lots, adding EV charging stations to Lot E, and adding and replacing emergency phones as needed. SIU will use this on-call engineering firm to help determine the extent of the work to be done and the estimated costs of the work. That firm was selected using the qualifications-based selections process. Award of construction contracts will require further board action. The Chancellor and Vice Chancellor for Administration have recommended this matter to the board. We seek approval relative thereto.
Thank you. Any questions for Vice Chancellor Taylor? Hearing none, is there a motion to move this to board agenda item N?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Whittington, you mind calling the roll?
Simmons,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
and Tedrick.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion's approved. Item 6 on our agenda is an information report on the campus water line. And Chancellor Lane, turn it to you.
Thank you, Trustee Simmons. I'll invite Julie McReynolds to come forward to present.
Thank you, Chancellor Lane. I'd like to provide the board an update regarding the campus water line replacement project that will be funded with state appropriations. This project will replace water lines that range from 40 to 100 years old. The Capital Development Board has completed the bidding process for the construction of this project. The bid was awarded by CDB to Hare Plumbing and Heating from Oakville, Illinois, at a little over $1.5 million. Construction is estimated to begin in June and should take around 3 to 4 months. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other business for the Architect and Design Committee? Hearing none, we will stand in recess. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Simmons. The full board meeting is now reconvened. The next item of business is approval of the minutes of the meeting of the board held February 10th. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Secretary, call the roll.
Curtis,
Yes.
Gilbert,
Yes.
Hightower, Not already. Sharma,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Tedrick,
Yes.
and Walters.
Yes.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Next, for trustee reports, Mr. Tedrick, do you have a trustee report?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I was appointed as the Board of Trustees liaison to the SIUC Foundation Board of Directors, and I'd like to share with this board some exciting news from the foundation. But first, a little history. On January 1st, 2017, the foundation launched a $75 million campaign with a goal to be reached by June 30th, 2020. On December 19th of 2019, the Board of Directors of the foundation voted to increase that to $200 million and have it wrapped up by June 30th, 2024. Well, the foundation has blown through that goal. As of today, they have surpassed $223 million, which is 2 years early. But the even more exciting news is the SIU Foundation Board of Directors voted on March 2nd to raise the campaign goal to $500 million and extend the date to June 30th, 2028. On March 2nd, on the 6th annual Day of Giving, they raised $3,558,000, which far surpassed last year's record-breaking $2,000,008. I guess we'd all like to thank Chancellor Lane, Matt Kupchak, the foundation staff, and everyone who helped with these impressive results. Thank you.
Great job, Roger.
Thank you, Trustee.
It's exciting.
This is probably, it's wonderful news. I mean, it means that our higher education is the people are focusing on contributing to with the cost of higher education going up. These campaigns and the funds that the foundation received that goes back into students is going to help alleviate much of the cost of some of these students that want to extend their education beyond high school into college. And it is just a tribute to our leadership of our foundation, the leadership of our university. And I know it's all hands on deck project, and this is just exciting news.
Yep, Mr. Chair, if I may, I will say too that it kind of is evidence of our student success that we're providing.
It is evidence of our student success.
If we had no student success, we would have none of these reports.
That's exactly right. Well, you know, and like we heard today, just when we talk about educating our students with this fermentation lab, the foundation gave them $1.1 million to help further that along, and those are positive things for our campus.
And when you hear these academic matters reports and what these students are doing, it just blows you away. And the thing is, we need to sell that. We need to advertise that, sell that to the outside the university community. And apparently, we're doing a good job because we're getting people to contribute. So thank you, Trustee Tedrick, for that report. I will report that the executive committee met on March 15th and approved a change in the faculty administration payroll office of the president and university-wide services, which appointed Mr. Jason Jordan as an associate general counsel for healthcare in the office of the general counsel on April 1st, 2020. Pursuant to our bylaws, minutes of that meeting will be incorporated into today's full board meeting minutes. The next item of business is Executive Officer's Report. President Mahoney, will you present your report for the SIU system?
Yeah, sure. And I just covered a few things. As you've seen, we got support really from the state this year that we're very thankful for. Thankful to the legislature. Thank you to the governor for their support of higher education. It really came in multiple ways. Particularly pleased that the large increase in MAP funding, which again goes to our neediest students in the state, and that was increased by $122 million, taking that fund up to over $600 million. There was also a 5% increase across the system, which is both a supplement for this year's budget as well as an increase for next year's budget. As we talked about earlier, this type of support allows us to and keep SIUE as the lowest tuition and fees in the state. It allows us to hold on tuition at Carbondale, so that type of support is really critical. They also reappropriated capital and construction projects and program funding across a number of different areas. And also some new increases. We got $3.5 million for the programming in the former Lindenwood campus in Belleville. This is one where both SIUC and SIUE is involved with putting programming in there, so that'll be a collaborative effort. $200,000 increase for the Farm Family Research Initiative. That was one of the things that Jeff Franklin had talked about earlier. And then $10 million went to IBHE for the Behavioral Workforce Training Center, which SIU School of Medicine is taking a lead on. So while that's not coming to us, that's certainly supporting the work that we're doing there. So overall, a very, very positive legislative session for us. And in general, Dwayne talked earlier about the improved bond rating. And what we're seeing is really an improved and more sustainable and stable financial position for the institution, looking through some data we put together for those bond ratings. And we go from the end of fiscal year 18 to the end of fiscal year 21, we saw a pretty dramatic increase in the net position in the university, which is usually one of the major ways you judge the financial health. If you look at our unrestricted cash reserves, is up significantly this December from where we were in December of 2019. So there's a large jump there as well. Again, there's still work to do for us, but between the state support, good fiscal management on the campuses, and a lot of other efforts, we are in a vastly better position than we were just a couple of years ago, which, as I was saying to people on the Edwardsville campus this week, to think about at the beginning of the pandemic, we could say we're in a vastly better financial position than we were 2 years ago. I don't think most people thought that was possible. Related to the strategic plan, I have been doing a rollout of that this week. It was on the Edwardsville campus yesterday to present that. I will be doing it here tomorrow in this building at 1 o'clock and presenting just kind of where we are, what we have in our strategic plan. We're also working on the metrics to assess that plan and currently putting together implementation teams. Again, we want to make sure we don't just have this sitting on a shelf. We want groups that are constantly working on this and monitoring our progress. So we're putting all of that into place, and Vice President Gupchup is taking the lead on that. One of the things I will say I would like to talk with the chair about a little bit more, as we develop the strategic plan now, I feel a need to report to the board more regularly on what progress we're making on a lot of these things. And so particularly some of our efforts, which we talked about today with the Institute for Rural Health, but we're doing it more on an ad hoc basis. I want to make sure we're consistently telling you the things we're working on relative to student success, community impact, anti-racism, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I want to talk about how we might incorporate that, and it may be in my report here that we do that, but I want to make sure you're regularly updated on the progress that we're making. Related to funding too, the Illinois Commission on Equitable Public University Funding at its third meeting this past Friday, that included a review of Louisiana and Colorado's models, which again incorporated a lot more discussion. I don't think we found a model that exactly fits what we want to do, but I think by looking at those other models, we're learning some things that will be helpful to us. They are actually establishing a couple working groups within the overall commission that will be starting work this summer and into the fall, one of which will be more, I think, related to principles, and one much more related to the technical of getting into spreadsheets and what does this actually look like when we implement this. So that process is moving forward. Again, joining the chair and welcoming Chancellor Minor to his first meeting. And we just talked about the success of the day of giving at SIU Carbondale. So we had records at Carbondale on their day of giving. We also had a record last week at SIUE on their day of giving. Really, I think, well exceeded what a lot of people were expecting, and I think good things coming in the future as far as fundraising goes at SIUE. But congratulations to Chancellor Minor, his team. They did an outstanding job, and I got to go for the wrap-up event in the evening, and it was one of the best things I've been to in a while. So it was very exciting. I also want to say we have new student trustees elected on both campuses who are not obviously part of the meeting today, but they're here with us today. Ms. Odell, who you heard from earlier, who won one of the awards, and Ms. Brew is over there in the crowd. Yes, she will be the new student trustee from SIU Carbondale. So we welcome them to their first meeting. We thank them for coming in advance of actually having to come to a meeting. So they sat through a meeting they didn't have to sit through to learn what we're doing. So that's great, and we appreciate their interest in being part of the board.
We still won't cut them any slack.
You're still not cutting them any slack, all right. I will say, I'll finish with one thing. I get to do a lot of interesting things in my role as president. Last Saturday, I participated in the FFA state officer selection process. And I was on the interview part, and they had 10-minute interviews, and we were each going around asking what question we're going to ask. And about 10 of us, and I was like, there's no way we're going to get through 10 questions in 10 minutes. I said, I spent my whole life in academia. We're lucky if we get through one question in 10 minutes. They did consistently and were very brief and really, really great and impressive. So I'm going to follow their lead. I'm going to finish there and be as quick as possible.
Thank you, President Mahoney. And I heard that Dr. Miner kept raising the bar in that fundraising for SIUE and had a little bit of pushback, but he kept raising it and they kept meeting it and exceeding it. So thank you, Dr. Miner. Okay, Chancellor Lane.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I think we're going to tee up our report. And I am going to follow Dr. Mahoney's lead, try to be as brief as I can. And while we're teeing that up, I want to thank and officially welcome Chancellor Miner. I think it's his first time on the Carbondale campus, and I look forward to working with him. We share a very special thing together. We're members of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. So it's good to have my fraternity brother over there at SIUE, and I know he's going to do great things. I also want to welcome Dorcas Brew. Dorcas, welcome. It's going to be great working with you, and welcome to all we're doing. I do want to highlight our two-time USG president, Isaiah Overton, in the audience. If you give him a round of applause, he won the election. He's doing a great job. And Diana, I know, is outgoing, but she's done a great job, and as you can see, won some awards. Dr. Lee, our Faculty Senate President, he also was two-time. I don't know if Dr. Lee is here, but I want to congratulate him as well. It's been great working with Dr. Lee in the Faculty Senate role. We've been able to accomplish a lot in a very short period of time. Look forward to continuing to do that with him. And then most importantly, I want to thank all of our faculty and our staff and our students, because we've had a very long year filled with some ups, some highs, some lows, some ups and downs, but we've been able to be better together. We've all worked together to get to this point today. So I'll try and move this forward. I want to see if this will work for me. Is there a volume on that? Oh.
Imagine going from the classroom to the big stage. But this journey requires us to observe the past as we look to the future, a future that is bright, full of opportunities.
As each student rises to the occasion, we must remember we're never alone.
This territory, this place, our home, isn't just for learning, but for understanding the very power of what imagination actually means.
A place where you can go from player to coach, from the ground to the sky.
And from just a dream to reality.
So close your eyes and feel the wind through your hands. Envision the roar that is a spirit of thousands of Salukis. And remember, when you hear that heartbeat, open your eyes, capture this moment, and go forward together.
Trustee Simmons, we tried to crank up that car. That's where that noise came from. You see that? And I don't know if we planned that or not, but I think we woke some people up with that. Part of our new strategic plan that we just unveiled is Imagine SIU C in 2030. And so a lot of the work that we're doing with really trying to connect with not only folks in the Southern Illinois region, but outside of our region, our state, to really make sure that we are capturing the hearts and minds of folks that hopefully want to be here and take part in our program. So really excited about that. One of the things that really paused everything that we did here a couple of weeks ago, and I'd be remiss if I didn't really talk about some wonderful individuals that unfortunately ended their lives. Their lives were ended way too soon. Earlier this month, a tragic auto accident involving 5 Salukis occurred, claimed the lives of Vamshi Krishna Pachetti, who was a graduate student in computer science, and Pavan Swarna, a graduate student in computer science as well. our hearts and thoughts with their loved ones and their families as they navigate this difficult time. Kellyanne Dorna, a graduate student in civil engineering. Karthik Kakumanu, a graduate student in computer science. And Yaswant Upaplapati, a graduate student in computer science. They were hospitalized. We hope that they heal quickly. I want to thank Diana and our other student leaders, Trustee Sharma and others in the Indian community who really were there to support our students that are here, and then obviously our students who've gone on. So a very difficult time in Saluki Nation, but did want to pause and make sure we pay our respects there. On our strategic plan, which we're excited about, Dr. Mahoney coming in tomorrow. He's going to be presenting the system strategic plan. A lot of what you see in front of you here connects in, I think, quite nicely with the overall system strategic plan, which was the goal, by the way. We wanted to make sure we were on the same page. And so as we go through this presentation, a lot of what we do is focus on the 5 pillars that you see in front of you with student success engagement, diversity, equity, inclusion, branding, partnerships, research, innovation, and sustainability. We try and tie some of the updates that we have closely there. As you mentioned, or Dr. Mahoney mentioned, part of our accountability will be in our unit effectiveness plan. So we'll make sure that each of our units are focused on those key strategic initiatives, the targets and the measures that we set there to see if we're actually moving the needle. So we'll come back and have some updates there. Moving backwards one time. In student success and engagement, our goal when we talk about recruiting students, it's also really important to retain those students. And so a lot of initiatives that are underway with the first year experience piece that we're trying to launch here shortly to work with students to make sure they get from orientation to graduation and eventually to the workplace. So that's a very critical piece that we're going to be focused on. We're really excited right now. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm always very optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic when we talk about enrollment. Our applications are up 17%, which is a really good sign for us. Admissions is up 32.7%. Believe it or not, registration in terms of students who've registered is up 123%. So we are focused on, as we heard Trustee Curtis, when we were talking earlier, focused on yield. Between now and the 10th class day, we've got to yield those students who have showed an interest in coming to SIU Carbondale. So we'll be laser focused on that. Exciting times. Commencement is coming in a few short days. May 7th, we'll be celebrating 1,834 candidates for degrees, including 1,200 candidates for the bachelor's degree, 392 for the master's degree, 113 candidates for doctoral degrees, 72 for law, 49 for associate degrees. So a total of 505 students who are participating in commencement exercises will wear special medallions and honor cords during the ceremonies that reflect significant academic achievement. So really, really excited about that. I know that for us is the capstone to the year, so we're excited. I want to start off by thanking Dr. Sheila Caldwell. She's been extremely instrumental in helping our campus move this campus climate piece forward. We expect to get some really good information out of this that will guide our efforts going forward, particularly in our diversity, equity, and inclusion lens that we have as one of our pillars. And so excited about that. I just wanted to make a plug there. We celebrate our faculty and staff for the Excellence Awards. This is a big deal on campus, where we recognize those that have gone above and beyond. If we had time to tell you about the stories of these individuals that are holding these certificates, it will blow you away. They've done a magnificent job here working at SIU Carbondale, and so you'll probably see, I know Jim Potter has posted a lot of their accomplishments out on the websites and different places for you to see. So if you get a chance, we really would appreciate if you take a look at what they're doing here. They're doing an amazing job. I'm going to go forward. You heard Trustee Tedrick talk about, we had some really exciting news with our fundraising efforts. You heard Dr. Mahoney mention it as well. We had our, what we called our St. Louis takeover, which happened, it seems like it happened a couple of days ago, but actually now was a couple of months ago, about a month ago. And really talk about the giving hearts of folks that support SIU Carbondale and are really excited about the energy that we have going right now and the focus and in terms of where we're heading. And so I'm really pleased. You heard again the $500 million goal, or as one of our board members on the foundation likes to say, $500 million is really where we're trying to go here. So a lot of work underway there, and very excited about that. Talk very briefly about our research and innovation pillar on our slide. 15% increase in proposals. We're really excited about that. 36% increase in funding received. That research piece will continue on. We're in the process now of looking at our candidates for Vice Chancellor of Research and Dean of Graduate Studies. So should have that person named pretty soon. We'll come back to you for that. So really exciting in the area of research. And again, you heard Dr. McCarroll do a great job on the fermentation center and some other things that we have going here. Just very briefly, other awards for the sustainability effort. We had 23 X Prize winners. Scott Hamilton, Assistant Professor of Microbiology. So hats off and congratulations to him. He's working with graduate students Tia Zimmerman and Jennifer Pierce on a carbon technology that would really allow microbes to consume carbon underground. So a lot of work underway there. The sustainability piece was one of those final pillars that we added to the strategic plan that came out of nowhere. But as you can see, we've got a lot of students that are laser focused on this effort. So excited about that. That concludes my report, and just want to thank, on behalf of all the faculty, staff, and students at SIU Carbondale, I want to thank the Board of Trustees for your support for what we're doing here, and any questions, be glad to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Lane. Dean Cruz.
I don't have any slides, but I'll ask Dr. McNeese to come forward right now if he would. I think all of you know that Wesley Robinson McNeese served the SIU system as Executive Director of Diversity and Inclusion for the past several years. Dr. McNeese was also the founder of the Office of Diversity and Multicultural Affairs at the School of Medicine, and I appointed him the first Associate Dean for Diversity and Inclusion at the School of Medicine in 2016. He's a graduate of the SIU School of Medicine. He's an emergency medicine physician and an associate professor of internal medicine. He's very accomplished, and I'm just going to mention two things. So Dr. McNeese always works to engage the community with everything that's done. So for many years, he's been one of the leaders for the Springfield Coalition on Dismantling Racism. And as a leader in that group, he engaged another group, Crossroads, periodically to provide training to dismantle systemic racism by giving a 2.5-day training session for over 50 people at a time. And it was done over and over and over again. That process was transformative for the School of Medicine. Now, in 2009, Dr. McNeese founded the P4 program, Physician Pipeline Preparatory Program, which inspires high school students to pursue careers in medicine. So this P4 program is an after-school program. It's 4 years in length. It's sponsored by the School of Medicine, Springfield Public School District 186, and the Sangamon County Medical Society, again, engaging everyone in this. It's a competitive program, and the students are given preference based on their academic achievement, their motivation, and disadvantaged backgrounds. Students get a white coat. They experience problem-based learning, laboratory research. They follow our clinicians around in the clinics, in the hospital, get lectures, college planning, and mentoring. Some of the grads are now SIU medical students, and one will graduate on May 21st with his MD degree. The program is very successful and has grown now to 80 students a year. And so now it is my pleasure to announce that we are changing the name of the program to the Dr. McNeese P4 program, or more specifically, the Dr. McNeese Physician Pipeline Preparatory Program. So Wes, thanks so much for everything you do. It's a great pleasure. And I will say the graduates of the program will be called McNeese Scholars too. So there you go.
Wow. Thank you so much. Brevity is the word for the afternoon. So let me say that it has been a privilege to be in on the inception of the pipeline program, even more gratifying to nurture the program over the years and watch it grow. And now that they've put my name on it, they've assured that I will support it for the rest of my life as an alum of the SIU School of Medicine by naming this the McNeese Physician Pipeline Preparatory Program. You have honored me, and you have honored and memorialized my family name, and you have recognized part of the work I have done here at SIU, and for this, I give you all thanks.
Dr. Miner, first of all, I want to welcome you to God's country, but let you know that the true beauty of Southern Illinois really doesn't start till you go about 10 miles south of here. So I know you're going to have a lot of opportunity to explore the beauty of Southern Illinois.
Well, thank you, Chair Gilbert. I want to start by thanking the board and President Mahoney and Chancellor Lane for such a warm welcome. This is an amazing season for SIUE, and I have to tell you, the first 8 weeks or so have just been amazing. Every week there's a new discovery about what makes SIUE so great. So I'm happy to be here. One of the things I think is also amazing about the institution, I talk to people about the ecosystem of education at SIUE. Most of you know that we have 3 locations, 3 campuses, not only at Edwardsville, but East St. Louis and Alton. And the executive director for the East St. Louis campus is here, Dr. Tim Staples. I had a chance to visit in my first or second week on the job. And I have to tell you, it's just really amazing to see pre-K students walk into a building under an SIUE banner. I mean, you think about 3 and 4-year-olds who are participating in 7 Head Start programs in the area is just phenomenal. Also at the East St. Louis Center are federally supported Gear Up grants, which are engaging middle school students, and of course the charter high school. You think about that and how early we're engaging young people on their educational journey. It really is amazing. Obviously, we've got great academic programs at the Edwardsville campus and the School of Dental Medicine there in Alton. So I want to share just a really brief report just in terms of a few updates and highlights of where we are, but there are a couple of themes that I want to emphasize. One has to do with growth and degree productivity, connectivity, excellence in academic quality, and engagement. So let me just start with degree productivity. Maybe a little known fact, which doesn't make me completely happy, but one of the things that I've shared with people over the first 7 or 8 weeks is sort of a did you know trivia about SIUE, and one of those facts is that SIUE grants the highest number of bachelor's degrees in the Metro East. So if you think about a 50-mile radius in Metro East, SIUE is the #1 producer of college graduates in the region. And when you think about the economic development and the workforce development that's required, SIUE will continue to be a #1 producer of college graduates. We want to continue to grow. And I think we can, not only with increases, modest increases or steady increases in enrollment, but also by graduating a greater number and percentage of students who are enrolling at SIUE. The second thing on trend is the number of applications are up, the number of admits are up. You heard Chancellor Lane mention that the key here will be yield, and I think that will be true for lots of institutions across the country. One of the phenomenons has become a little easier to apply to college. The Common App, as you heard, allows students to apply to 1, 10, 15 institutions with a few clicks of a button. So we will continue to be focused on actually converting those offers of admission into enrollment. The issue on connectivity that I want to share is I do take seriously the connective tissue, if you will, Dr. Cruz, between our 3 campuses. And it's something I heard a lot about upon arrival is how connected the 3 locations were. What you see here on the screen are images from the charter high school and their STEAM day. And what's unique about this is that the robot that you see there, we call the robot Bodhi, is from the School of Engineering at the Edwardsville campus. So you think about taking our School of Engineering to East St. Louis to engage high school students about robotics and computer science was pretty special. And it's just the start to try to connect our 3 locations more effectively. The strategic planning process, I think upon arrival, I inherited a process that was in progress. And so our provost here has been responsible for gathering the multiple strands of our ongoing strategic planning process. But I placed here on this screen the IBHE strategic plan. You heard President Mahoney talk about the system plan, and I very much expect that the strategic plan that will emerge for SIUE will be in alignment with a focus on student success, equity, diversity and inclusion, closing equity gaps, and a brighter future for our university. One quick highlight on faculty research is one that's pretty remarkable. There were many that we could share, but for the sake of time, we only wanted to share this one. On the screen, you see 3 nursing faculty, Professor Annie Bolton, Valerie Griffin, and Bernadette Sobzak, all professors in the School of Nursing, who conducted a study on the impact of COVID-19 on infant and toddler development. Now, I have to say here, most faculty members are pretty excited to have their research published in an academic journal. We could all argue about the readership of academic journals, especially when they're discipline focused. But to have your work cited in a National Geographic, which has a subscription base of 3.5 million individuals in this country, is pretty special. And so I wanted to acknowledge them. There are lots of great work happening at SIUE, but this is just one of them from the School of Nursing. At SIUE, we embrace the teacher-scholar model. This highlight involves a $1.5 million National Science Foundation grant. Now, you heard me talk about the East St. Louis Charter High School and STEAM Day and robotics. This particular grant is not for research necessarily, but it's to improve the participation of low-income students in STEM graduate programs. So imagine a professor who's received a $1.5 million grant from NSF to ensure greater inclusion of students of color in STEM doctoral programs, which I think is also pretty noteworthy. The School of Pharmacy, this is in my bucket of did you know. So I was at the School of Pharmacy last week, and one of the amazing discoveries is that the NCLEX, so you heard about the NCLEX, which is for nursing, the NCLEX, which is the licensure exam for pharmacy. SIUE students are #1 in the state of Illinois in terms of their pass rates. They're #1 in the state of Missouri. And their pass rates exceed the national average for this exam, which is pretty remarkable. I had a chance to meet the faculty and staff there. They do an amazing job with their students in the School of Pharmacy. Academic quality, what you see there is the AACSB dual accreditation in business and accounting. Fewer than 200 business schools worldwide, which is roughly 2%, hold dual accreditation in both business and accounting. The SIUE School of Business has been accredited since 1975 and achieved this dual accreditation in 1987. And yes, we also want to highlight the academic success of our student athletes. This is pretty remarkable. I as a former student athlete, competition is important, but I also graduated with honors. And so this sort of idea that you compete on the field and in the classroom, that you're going to experience success. We just accomplished our 31st consecutive semester with a GPA for our student athletes above 3.0. And that's a fairly low watermark for us, because the cumulative GPA for the group of students this semester was 3.4, which is pretty remarkable. And for those of you who are doing the counting, 31 consecutive semesters is more than 15 years, right? This is quite the streak, and you can imagine the kind of pressure I'm placing on the athletics department to keep the streak alive. Is pretty remarkable. I'll conclude my remarks with One Day, One SIUE, and President Mahoney alluded to this. This was the first dedicated annual day of giving for SIUE. And there was, Chair Gilbert, some consternation about whether we establish a goal. This is the first time that we've done it. We don't know how people are going to respond. But I was pretty confident, based on the level of engagement and feedback with members of the community and alumni. And so I did encourage our team to up the stakes with respect to our goals for the day. And it was a very proud moment. Now, I thought people were being really nice to the new chancellor. President Mahoney has said, you know, this was a phenomenal event. We had people who were a part of this university community for 10, 15, 20 years who said that we've never attended an event like this at SIUE. It was truly remarkable. The goal for the day was roughly $350,000. We exceeded it by raising more than $572,000. And Chancellor Lane, I'm going to declare that this is our road to $500 million. Starts with One Day, One SIUE. So we were very proud of this, and it really was a magical evening for SIUE. At the end of the evening, all of our campus buildings were lit up with red lights. And I just paused for a moment. I was one of the last people to leave that night, but it really allowed our university community to imagine and look forward, which was a very proud night for SIUE. So I will conclude my remarks there and say thanks again for such a warm welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Miner. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Hightower for organizing, when Dr. Miner came on board, he organized a reception of community and civic leaders we had up in Edwardsville. And I'm sure that hopefully played a part of the role in the response that you received in your day of giving. So need to thank Dr. Hightower for
absolutely
organizing that. So, at regular board meetings, 30 minutes will be reserved to receive comments or questions from members of the public and employees of the university. Speakers' comments or questions should not exceed 5 minutes. Persons wishing to speak shall contact the Executive Secretary of the Board. The Executive Secretary of the Board shall maintain a roster of those seeking to speak and shall call the speakers in order. Madam Secretary, do we have any speakers today?
We do. We have 2 speakers. First speaker is Diana McGrean.
Okay, Today, you're going to be presented with the option of voting for a generalized student fee increase of $3. I wanted to read the resolution that was presented to our Graduate and Professional Student Council as we voted on this and approved it. Whereas the Graduate and Professional Student Council is the official graduate and professional student governing body for Southern Illinois University, whereas the presidents of the undergraduate student government and the Graduate and Professional Student Council have met with the CEO of the SIU Foundation, Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Student Center Director, and Interim Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance to discuss enhancements to the general student programming. And whereas the student activity fee helps to support the mission and vision of the undergraduate student government and the Graduate and Professional Student Council by providing the financial resources for student-centered programming and career development opportunities. Therefore, be it resolved, the Graduate and Professional Student Council does hereby proclaim support for the increase to the general student fee, which will total an additional $3 per credit hour to be allocated to the student activity fee that supports funding on campus-wide resources such as GPSC and USG. Be it further resolved, GPSC does hereby support this resolution and proposal to be presented to Chancellor Austin Lane and the SIU Board of Trustees as to begin the process of introducing and implementing said fee to the fiscal year 2023. So that was approved by our student government, but you probably noticed some emphasis of words there, and that was USG and GPSC. So when it was presented to us, it was presented, and I think the reason why we so backed it is that a good portion of that was told to us to be dedicated to GPSC and USG. So I'm here today just to make sure it is claimed on the record. So that funding can support all that we do. And then I have a nice list of all that we do. So you really understand that we go beyond just being a constituent head and a representation of our student body. So here are some of the things and some of the programming that we have dedicated ourselves to during this past academic year. As I mentioned earlier, as the president of GPSC, I guided our planning of our Diversity Week, and GPSC as well as USG were great sponsors of that event. So not only our manpower, but also our money filtered into what I call the pillars of imagining SIU in 2030, which includes student success and engagement, diversity, equity, inclusion, and research and innovation. So that really covers diversity, equity, inclusion, but so does so many other things. We also did educational workshops for alumni Kevin Purcell that talked about organizational communication and organizational psychology. Isaiah and I both hosted mental health forums and academic forums to look at and discuss student needs here on the campus of SIUC. In addition, as a call and response to activities in our community, I also organized a Saluki Pride Rally after hate speech was circulating within our local high schools and also on our campus against members of the LGBT community. I also helped to organize the Stand With Ukraine Peace Rally, also an event called Imagine You 2030, in which we launched the strategic plan to our students and let them know how they can start imagining themselves and their future in 2030 and as an alumni of this university. But there are other things that GPSC does. About a fourth of our budget actually is used towards career development. This is funding that can be used towards traveling for our graduate and professional students as they attend conferences, not only to celebrate their own research, to engage with the research of others within their academic fields, and to network and grow and develop professionally. We also give out annual awards for research, as well as teaching and service. So our annual research award directly goes to the successful completion of theses and dissertations and contributes to amazing research across campus. And we also give, and this is the one that I will say, we get an amazing amount of requests for, is our own personal event funding. Our event funding helps to support registered student organizations as well as organizations across campus. So this, to me, also speaks to the engagement and success of our students as their departments, as their departmental RSOs, and as cultural RSOs are coming together for wonderful events on this campus that go beyond, no offense, concerts, bingo nights, and all that good stuff. This is stuff that really advances their individual community and their careers. So for example, we give to the International Student Council as they celebrate International Student Week. And also this is a week that has a food festival that is an umbrella that helps to fundraise for all of the international student RSOs that are involved. We also donated to the Women's Resource Center as they honored our female graduates. We also donate to the SIU Student Creative Activities and Research Forum, Saluki Cares Day. We also help with other large events that celebrate our professional students, such as the law school's annual banquet. And then we also do very well recognized nationally and regional conferences, such as the Little Grassy Festival, which is a literary festival hosted by our English department graduate students. And this is something where they bring in internationally and nationally renowned researchers. And so I do hope, and also thinking of our cultural groups, we have the Napoli Student Society, our Black Graduate Student Association, our New Play Lab out of our theater department, our Zoology Graduate Student Association, and the Bangladesh Student Association, and also our medical school. So you can see the vast variety of the programming that just GPSC offers. And so as you consider this and approve this, I do hope you know that it goes beyond just concerts, that we do hope that our resolution, the emphasis on GPSC and USG resonates with you in the program that we directly provide to our students. The money that is given to GPSC goes directly back to our students through research funding, through travel funding, and through events on campus directed towards cultural RSOs and departmental RSOs.
Okay, thank you. And you sound like you're doing wonderful work. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Isaiah Overton.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Isaiah Overton. I'm the current USG president, and I was also reelected as Chancellor Lane's head for another term next year. I want to thank Chancellor Lane as well as Diana and our other constituency heads. This year, we've been through a lot, but we've remained together. We've done a lot of initiatives that have been student-led, but also we've worked with the administration, with our faculty, to get a lot of stuff for our students and a lot of progress for our students. Currently, the USG funds about 300 plus student organizations. We can give each organization up to $5,000. That doesn't mean every organization gets $5,000. This year, we gave $150,000 to our student organizations, and one of them you actually got to see on that video today was our racing design team within the College of Engineering. They come to USG each year and ask us for event funding and competition funding, so that allows them to modify their vehicle and also take that to competition. We also give funding to our professional organizations, and our professional organizations are extremely important and vital to our students because they kind of help our students matriculate from college to career. One of the professional organizations that I am a part of is the National Society of Black Engineers. The National Society of Black Engineers has two conferences each year, our annual conference and our regional conference. This year, and as well in the past years, we've been able to take roughly, I want to say 8 of our members to conference, and of the 8, typically about 7 walk out with full-time job offers at the end. So being able to bring more students to conferences such as the NSBE conference, such as some of our SHIP, which is our Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and as well as the other professional orgs that we have within the College of Liberal Arts and the College of Mass Communication. So increasing the funding that they get directly goes back into students like Diana said, but also will help retain them, graduate them, and then send them on to their careers. I wanted to keep it very brief. If you guys have questions, feel free.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Isaiah. I former student body president myself, so.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
I'm looking for a connection here because I've told the board that SIU engineering would have probably won that race had we competed with a board member driver and put that challenge out to other universities. You get a board member, we'll get a board member, and let's race.
All right, bet. Thank you. I'll take that challenge.
So put me in that car.
Yeah. I also do want to spotlight the student government. This year we did make history. I am the first 2-time elected USG president on records So thank you, and I thank my SIU community. I thank all my students for the opportunity.
Thank you both very much. Okay, our next item is a call for the omnibus motion. The trustees have had approximately 10 days to study the items on the agenda. A certain number of the items are routine or self-explanatory, so as to save time, we act upon them in one motion, in one vote. Madam Secretary, please read the items suggested for the omnibus motion. I know there's a few items that are going to be taken separate.
Board agenda items F, G, T, and BB will be voted on separately. So for the omnibus motion, I'm suggesting items H through S and U through AA.
Is there any discussion on items H through S and U through AA? If not, is there a motion to approve those items for the omnibus motion?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We're now going to ask for a roll call vote.
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hightower?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Yes.
And Walters?
Yes.
I declare the motion to approve the omnibus motion has been passed. Next, board item F, report of purchase orders and contracts, January to February 2022, SIUC. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? We're now going to ask for a roll call vote on item F.
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Yes.
Hightower? Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Recuse.
And Walters?
Yes.
I declare the motion is passed. Board item G, report of purchase orders and contracts, January to February 2022, SIUE. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We're now going to have a roll call vote on item G.
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hightower?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Recuse.
And Walters?
Yes.
I declare the motion has passed. Board item T, approval of purchase, teaching clinic and academic office building lease, School of Medicine, SIUC. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Going to ask for a roll call vote.
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hightower?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Okay, I declare that motion is passed. Board item BB, the authorization for sale and issuance of bonds, housing and auxiliary facility systems, revenue bonds, Series 2022A, renovation and upgrades to housing facilities, parking, construction, and maintenance, and refunding of the board's outstanding housing and auxiliary facility system revenue bonds, Series 2012B-1. Do I have a motion to approve this item?
So
moved.
Been moved and seconded. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hightower?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Yes.
And Walters?
Yes.
I declare that item is passed. That concludes the business of the Board of Trustees today. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the board will be held July 21st, 2022 at the SIU School of Medicine in Springfield. News items will be held immediately after the conclusion of this meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Ms. Whittington, please take the roll.
Curtis? Gilbert?
Yes.
Hightower?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Tedrick?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
The motion is carried. This meeting is now adjourned. I want to thank everybody for being here today.